Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles. Chapter 2709. Left Prime Minister's Disciple. Wait, I'm not fighting anymore. Many guards threw down their weapons and ran in another direction. They were no match for the geniuses of their generation, let alone the strongest of their generation. Whoosh! However, as soon as they moved, a sword slashed at the ground in front of them, causing a deep sword mark to appear on the ground. It was Lin Ling. Where is my wife? If you don't tell me, don't even think about escaping today. Lin Ling leaped into the air and coldly looked down at these guards. Plop. All the guards knelt down. That young man's sword was too cold, causing them to lose the will to fight. He should still be in the mansion. One of them said nervously. Should. Lin Ling became even more worried. This meant that these guards didn't dare to guarantee anything. Whoosh! He swung his sword horizontally, and the guard who spoke was split into two. Before he died, his eyes were wide open, and he died with a grievance. The other guards all trembled. This was too terrifying. What kind of reverse scale had they touched? He's still alive. He's definitely still alive. He's definitely in the mansion. The guards no longer dared to say anything like should and pointed at the residents behind them. Seeing this, Lin Ling's expression turned even colder. He raised the sword in his hand and slashed down. Rumble. The disciple residence was cleaved open by the sword. Countless buildings and city walls collapsed, and a deep sword mark appeared on the ground. Go, bring everyone out. The guards were completely terrified. They rushed into the broken mansion and brought out all the people they had captured during this period of time. Lin Ling's breathing quickened. He was deeply afraid that he would miss something. It wasn't until a familiar figure appeared in the crowd that he finally felt relieved. Brother Ling. In the crowd, a woman also saw Lin Ling in the air and immediately let out a surprised laugh. She was Yu. After leaving the distorted space, she was caught by the left minister's disciples and brought here to be sent to the Azure Dragon Divine Mansion. And the reason he was arrested was because of Aoki-kun's death. Therefore, Yu kept pretending that she didn't know anything throughout the entire process. Naturally, she wouldn't admit it herself. Who would have thought that after only a year, Lin Ling would actually come in person and cause a ruckus in the student residence? I finally found it. Good. If something happens to his wife, I'm afraid this place will be plunged into misery and suffering. These people from the strongest generation are not to be trifled with. Seeing that Lin Ling's wife was fine, the guards let out a sigh of relief. They were completely afraid of that unparalleled demon king. Yu, are you alright? Lin Ling looked at Yu and asked worriedly. It's fine. Yu hurriedly hugged Lin Ling. Her tense heart finally relaxed. She whispered, they aren't sure who killed Lord Aoki, so they only interrogated us. They didn't touch us. However, I heard that if we were sent to the Azure Dragon Divine Manor, we would die. Even those who weren't involved would be beheaded. The Azure Dragon Divine Manor. Hearing this, Lin Ling's eyes turned even colder. Luckily, he made it in time. Otherwise, he would regret it for the rest of his life. Then, he remembered that he was the cause of all this. However, he caused Yu to be so worried. He felt extremely guilty. Yu has been with him for many years. They have known each other since they were children. She has been quietly helping him without asking for anything in return. This made Lin Ling feel that he had failed to fulfill his responsibilities as a man. Who are you? But at this moment, an icy cold voice suddenly resounded. In the sky, a scholar in a white robe appeared. He looked at Lin Ling with an icy expression, and his eyes were filled with rage. Minister Zhua. Seeing this, the surrounding guards' expressions changed drastically. They quickly knelt down. However, the scholar ignored them. He continued to stare coldly at Lin Ling. Because he was the minister's disciple. He didn't expect that after leaving his residence for 2 hours, his residence would be destroyed. Even the people he captured were released. This infuriated him. This made him feel like he had lost face. Remember that he was the only descendant of the Ghost Cave clan. He had the responsibility of reviving his clan. He did not disappoint and was rather famous in Qingzhou. But now, someone dared to challenge the Ghost Cave clan? Who are you? Staring at the scholar in white, Lin Ling did not give him any face. His tone was cold. This time, the minister's disciple was even more furious. How dare someone destroy his residence and act so arrogantly? He growled, I am the minister's disciple. I don't know you. But you captured my wife. Do you want to die? Lin Ling was unrestrained. When it came to Yu, he would not give anyone face. My guards were able to defeat many of the first generation, but you were able to sweep through them. You must not be a nobody. You must be Lin Ling, who disappeared for a year. The minister's disciple thought for a while and said coldly, but, you are just a rising star. Don't think you are so great. I am the 5th on the heaven surpass list. You should kneel down and apologize to me. Kneel down and apologize? Hearing this, Lin Ling smiled. He did not say much. His mind moved. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 365 swords were shot out. His sword represented his attitude. He captured his wife and almost killed her. Now, he wanted him to kneel down and apologize? In his dreams. You dare to attack me? The minister's disciple did not expect Lin Ling to be so arrogant. Not only did he not apologize, he attacked first. He waved his right hand and a gust of wind swept out. In his opinion, Lin Ling was simply courting death. Because no matter how strong and monstrous Lin Ling was, he was at most in the top 30 of the heaven surpass list. He was the 5th on the list. He was not someone Lin Ling could offend. However, he had obviously underestimated Lin Ling. Before Lin Ling entered the twisting void, he was already ranked 18th, or even higher. Therefore, he dared to fight Lin Ling now, even the Grim Reaper. Whoosh! The gust of wind was like a ghastly wind. It shook the 365 swords. Then, they fell to the ground. The minister's disciple smiled disdainfully. It is better to know one's limits. However, as soon as the words left his mouth, one of the 365 swords shot toward him, revealing its sharpness. During this period, Lin Ling was threatened by the Marquis of Sovereign Heaven and was looked down upon by the Dean of the Resplendent Academy. Lin Ling proudly left the academy. Now that Yu was in trouble, his anger had reached its limit. Therefore, this sword strike contained all the humiliation that Lin Ling had suffered, and all of it exploded. Oh no! Oh no! The minister's disciple reacted and his face changed drastically. He waved his right hand and a mysterious compass floated out. Ghost cave inscriptions formed a substantial symbol that enveloped his body. Although he was strong and his reaction was fast, he was still a little slow. Although the final strike didn't injure him, it still brushed past his cheek. Chapter 27:10. The Qing region was vast and mighty. 5th on the Sky Bridge leaderboard. At the same time, Lin Ling's sarcastic voice floated out. This time, the surrounding area was dead silent. No way, the left Prime Minister's disciple was injured? Although it's not a fatal injury, but he is the 5th strongest on the Sky Bridge leaderboard. That's Lin Ling? I thought he had escaped from Qing region. Solemn voices rang out one after another. Everyone was frightened by this development. The left Prime Minister's disciple's face was gloomy. His right hand touched the sword wound on his cheek and wiped away the blood. He then put it in his mouth and licked it. He said indifferently, "You injured me? You." I wanted to kneel down and pay my respects, but I'm too weak and can't control my sword well. So I accidentally cut your face. Junior brother, I apologize. Sorry. Lin Ling said indifferently, his words were laced with sarcasm. You, very good. Sorry. How could the left Prime Minister's disciple not hear the sarcasm in his words? His face became even more gloomy. In fact, he thought that if he did not underestimate Lin Ling would not be able to take advantage of him. I know you want to kill me, and I want to kill you too. So this battle is unavoidable. Lin Ling ignored the left Prime Minister's disciple's anger. He slowly kept his sword and left with Yu. You want to escape? Seeing this, the left Prime Minister's disciple said coldly. Lin Ling destroyed his mansion and injured him. Now he wants to leave? No, I want to stay and fight on the Sky Bridge leaderboard. I think you have the same plan. Lin Ling continued to walk forward and said confidently. You think I'll let you live for another 3 days? The left Prime Minister's disciple mocked. Lin Ling thought too highly of himself. Does he think he still has the chance to participate in the Sky Bridge leaderboard battle? Dream on. Today, he will make sure Lin Ling can't leave here. Aoki-kun, I killed him. However, just as he was about to move, a voice that shook the entire Fourth Ring city drifted out. One had to know that Aoki-kun's death had caused a huge commotion in Sihuan City. Countless people had been implicated. But now, the murderer had appeared. Moreover, the murderer admitted it himself. It really is you. The disciple of the left minister exclaimed. He deduced that the culprit was a rising comet, but there were many suspects, and Lin Ling was one of them, but he wasn't sure. Now, he was sure. Moreover, he never thought that Lin Ling would be so arrogant as to admit it in public. Now, do you dare to come and kill me? While he was still in shock, Lin Ling's disdainful voice drifted out. But it was clear that the left Prime Minister's disciple didn't dare. This was because Lin Ling was left for the Azure Dragon King. If he dared to kill him, he would be going against the Azure Dragon King's will. 3 days later, I'll take your head. Lin Ling gradually disappeared into the distance, and his cold voice drifted out again. Lin Ling had no enmity with the left minister's disciple, but the other party had captured Yu and wanted to flatter the Azure Dragon King. Because of this, killing intent had already risen in Lin Ling's heart. Because he had chosen to flatter the Azure Dragon King and offended Lin Ling, he should face the wrath of Lin Ling. Lin Ling, Lin Ling, Lin Ling. Seeing Lin Ling leave casually, the left minister's disciple muttered to himself. He clenched his fists tightly, and a monstrous killing intent rose in his heart towards Lin Ling. This was because no one had ever been able to destroy his mansion, hurt him, and leave safely. This was the first. Therefore, he would kill this first. Young Master Aoki was actually killed by Lin Ling. This Lin Ling really amazes the world with a single brilliant feat. Yes, there are many people who want to kill Lin Ling now. There's the Thunder Manor, the Sovereign Marquis, the Immortal Plum Sword, one of the top 10 sword celestials in Qingzhou, 2 large commanderies, and now there's the Azure Dragon Manor. So many experts want to kill him, but Lin Ling is still so calm. No wonder he's a cultivator of our generation. The people in the distance were no exception as they discussed animatedly. Now, Lin Ling's reputation in Qingzhou had soared. Of course, the rise of a monstrous genius would either lead to a fall or an explosion. In the end, would Lin Ling fall or explode? This was what everyone was looking forward to the most. In a short period of time, the news of Lin Ling killing Lord Qingmu had spread throughout Qingzhou, and countless people were shocked. Bang! In the Azure Dragon Manor's courtyard, an old man smashed a teacup, and his dragon face was enraged. Your Highness, we can't kill Lin Ling now because too many people are paying attention to Lin Ling. Moreover, Lin Ling wants to enter the Heavenly Crossing Realms ranking list. This is something everyone knows. If our Azure Dragon Manor kills him, it might cause public anger. Behind the old man, an old woman hurriedly said. So what? Dragon scales appeared on the old man's cheeks, and his killing intent soared. Let him live for 3 more days. After all, he has no achievements in the Heavenly Crossing Realms ranking list. The old woman said again, causing the old man to grit his teeth and endure. He had endured for a year, how could he not wait for 3 more days? It's really him. In the Black Warrior manner, Xian Linglong smiled faintly. In fact, she had already guessed it. However, she never thought that Lin Ling would be so arrogant, actually daring to admit it in public. This guy was enraged, there was indeed nothing he wouldn't dare to do. I heard that the Sovereign Marquis has found him. Ever since that incident, he has been under a lot of pressure. Chapter 27:11. The leaderboard began. Yes, senior brother. Yes. A junior brother immediately went to prepare the tombstone and was extremely excited. Senior brother Death was the first on the heavenly surpassing leaderboard. Lin Ling dared to provoke him, this was simply courting death. Lin Ling, defeated opponent. Humph. Death snorted in disdain. In the past, he followed the Sovereign Marquis to stop Lin Ling. Later, he fought with Lin Ling and returned with a draw. This was the greatest humiliation in his life. After that, he was not convinced, so he spread rumors to force Lin Ling to come out and fight. However, Lin Ling was worse than he imagined. He actually did not come out to clarify the rumors. In the following year, he thought that Lin Ling had escaped from Qing State. However, who knew that Lin Ling would resurface and cause a great commotion in Qing State? The heavenly surpassing leaderboard was re-ranked. Lin Ling would definitely be a thorn in everyone's eyes. He could also wash away the humiliation and properly kill Lin Ling. All the experts were quietly waiting for the leaderboard battle 3 days later. However, no one was optimistic about Lin Ling. As for Lin Ling's friends, they were also not optimistic about Lin Ling. However, they did not gloat. Instead, they were worried for Lin Ling. 3 days quietly passed under everyone's anticipation. This day was also the day of the heavenly surpassing leaderboard's re-ranking every 10 years. On this day, all the geniuses would return and attempt to rush into the leaderboard. Because, stepping onto the peak of Qing State was their goal. And rushing into the heavenly surpassing leaderboard was also their only way. The heavenly surpassing leaderboard was held at Dayun Mountain outside Qing State. Because it was held here, all the warriors in Qing State could come and watch. Early in the morning, the sky was blue and the sun was charming. A large number of experts had gathered around Dayun Mountain. Moreover, there were dragons pulling coffins and hundreds of qilins flying across the sky. It was mighty and magnificent. This kind of Qing State leaderboard battle, even the emperors of the 10,000 realms came. The decennial leaderboard is about to begin. I wonder if the last generation of the older generation will still be guarding the leaderboard or if the new strongest generation will surpass them. Ranking is very difficult. Perhaps the rankings will change, but the top 30 strongest generation will never change. It's said that there are only 3 people who have the greatest hope of rushing into the top 30. They are Meng Lu, Luo Ho, and Lin Ling. These 3 people have all defeated the strongest generation, but they have not been recognized by the great Azure Divine Dynasty. Tisk Tsk, I heard that Lin Ling came from the Northland, so I came all the way from the Northland to cheer him on. Humph, Lin Ling is just a jumping clown. If he doesn't get a good ranking this time, he's dead for sure. The ranking had yet to begin, but the surrounding voices were already ringing out like waves, causing the wind and clouds to surge in the sky, and a chaotic universe appeared. And among all the strongest generation, Lin Ling's limelight was undoubtedly the brightest. Some people admired him, some looked down on him, and there were all kinds of opinions. Where's Lin Ling? Today, I will tear him apart. I won't give anyone face, not even the resplendent academy. At this time, a huge azure dragon arrived. The dragon's body was so long that one couldn't see the end of it. Its rolling aura caused the earth to be silent. It was the Azure Dragon, king of the Azure Dragon Mansion. It was said that this was the king of dragon ancestors. One had to know that those who could become dragon ancestors were all tyrants among dragons, and the king of dragon ancestors was even more powerful. He controlled all the dragon ancestors. It was said that this overlord of the Azure State was the first dragon king in the chaotic universe. Lin Ling is ignorant and incompetent, and he has no respect for his elders. He has already been expelled from the Resplendent Academy, so don't bring everything to the Resplendent Academy. At this time, a large number of experts arrived, and the wind and clouds surged. They were people who could shake the entire Azure State with just a move of their feet. The person in the lead was Dean Qin. It's enough to hear you say that. The Azure Dragon King sat down in the mountain and waited for everything. Then, experts also arrived one after another, such as Thunderclap Mother, Marquis Sovereign, and so on. Among them, Thunderclap Mother specially came to see how Lin Ling would die. As for the Marquis Sovereign, his gaze was deep, and no one knew what he was thinking. On the other side of the Great Cloud Mountain, Lord Eighth, Red Jade Tiger, Sunset Glory, and other experts also arrived. They looked at the densely packed experts gathered, and each of them revealed a bitter smile. At this point, even if they wanted to help Lin Ling, it seemed that they couldn't. Everything depended on Lin Ling himself. Marshal Lin Ling will definitely succeed in clearing the rankings. All the armies of the 6 barracks also arrived, and their momentum was magnificent. Gradually, the area of the Great Cloud Mountain was filled with countless experts, and the sky was filled with figures. All the generations had also arrived, and the 1 million strongest generation on the heaven-surpassing list had already sat there, as if they were the rulers of the world. They were also quietly waiting for the younger generation to challenge them, but they also had absolute confidence. Where's Lin Ling? Don't tell me he doesn't dare to come. Doesn't dare to come? It's not up to him. Even if he escapes to the ends of the earth, I will personally catch him. The 2 strongest generation on the heaven-surpassing list coldly said, and their voices were not soft, and entered everyone's ears. It's the Grim Reaper and the Left Prime Minister's disciples. Everyone's expression changed drastically as they looked at the 2 strongest experts of the generation. The 2 strongest existences were going to attack Lin Ling, and Lin Ling clearing the rankings would be even more difficult. No, it could be said that there was no hope at all. Lin Ling, maybe he really doesn't dare to come. It was unknown who said this, but it made many people nod, because this was a very normal thing. Coward. The Grim Reaper had long held a grudge against Lin Ling, so he was the first to laugh mockingly. When have I, Lin Ling, not been able to do what I promised? But at this moment, an indifferent voice sounded in the sky. The voice was calm, but it seemed to reach the hearts of everyone, making them look up into the distance. They saw that in the distant sky, a large number of figures had also arrived, and the person in the lead was Lin Ling. Lin Ling, you're here. At this moment, the Great Cloud Mountain was silent. At this moment, countless experts' pupils constricted. Everyone knew that today's heaven-surpassing list was actually Lin Ling's martial stage, and Lin Ling was also the strongest generation that attracted the most attention in the history of the heaven-surpassing list. He's really calm and confident. Yes. Yes, so many experts are waiting for him, but he didn't run away. That's Lin Ling. Regardless of whether they knew Lin Ling or not, at this moment, they all looked at Lin Ling. Lin Ling caused a huge commotion in the Qing province, and this caused everyone to know him. Of course, this made many people unhappy with Lin Ling, but there were also many who secretly admired Lin Ling. In these people's eyes, martial artists were originally overcoming all difficulties to rise above the heads of geniuses, and only mediocre people would not attract jealousy. Lin Ling, defeated opponent, I didn't expect you to finally come. At the foot of the Great Cloud Mountain, the Grim Reaper raised his head to look at Lin Ling. His eyes appeared the reincarnation of the Grim Reaper, making people not dare to look directly at him, as if looking at him would take away their life. Bang! Even leaving today is a problem. He actually took the initiative to resist. I'm just trying to show off before I die. Unsurprisingly, everyone was shocked again, but they were even more certain that Lin Ling would die without a doubt. Those voices made Lin Ling nod. He wasn't affected at all. He maintained his calm and prepared to clear the rankings. He naturally knew that many people wanted to use words to make him lose his mind. In the end, it would affect his performance and completely eliminate him. Lin Ling, you can do it. Lord, you'll definitely succeed. Falling flowers, flowing water, and the others stopped in their tracks and looked at Lin Ling. They were also very worried about Lin Ling, but they believed that Lin Ling would be able to turn the tide in this monstrous killing intent. Lin Ling, you'll definitely win. Similarly, to the south of the Dayun mountain, several figures were also looking at Lin Ling. It was Qi Yuhu and the others. Lin Ling's heart warmed. Right now, everyone wanted him to die, and there weren't many people who still supported Lin Ling. Therefore, Lin Ling couldn't let them down. Moreover, Lin Ling had already experienced countless life and death situations. This time, he had absolute confidence that he would be able to pass. Those who want to challenge the rankings, get ready. At that moment, an old voice sounded. The voice seemed to come from a distant place, but it also seemed to be ringing in everyone's ears. It was extremely magical. All the experts' eyes narrowed. They knew that the person who came was very powerful and could transmit his voice to the myriad worlds. The 100 strongest people on the Heavenly Crossing list don't need to fight for now. If they want to challenge the rankings, they have to go through 3 major tests. The voice floated out again, causing many to nod their heads. If they wanted to catch up to their seniors, they would have to pay more. No matter what kind of genius they were, only by overcoming all difficulties could they become famous in Qing State. Of course, this process isn't easy. If you're not careful, you'll be turned into ashes. Those who want to challenge the rankings, you must be prepared. Senior, I'm fully prepared. Hee, only trash is afraid of being turned into ashes. Real geniuses aren't even afraid of death, why would they be afraid of tests? I've already defeated the 44th strongest person on the rankings. I just lack the certification of the Great Qing Divine Dynasty. Around Dayun Mountain, many proud figures walked out. They were all from the top 3 academies. They had been waiting for this moment for 10 years, so how could they be afraid of fighting? Of course, there were some geniuses who weren't from the top 3 academies. However, if they had a backer, they could also fight. Alright, prepare for the first test, dim light reincarnation. A huge vortex appeared in the sky, and a touch of nirvana chi spread out from it. Dim light reincarnation? He actually drew this test. It said that no one below the middle stage of the true God realm can pass this test. Some of the ancient experts' faces changed drastically. It was obviously very difficult to enter the Heavenly Crossing list. Firstly, there was a limit to the cultivation time. It had to be within 2,000 years. Secondly, there were layers upon layers of tests. It was extremely dangerous. Lin Ling, are you confident? Beside Lin Ling, a white-haired youth walked over. It was Meng Lu. Beside him was Xian Linglong. Obviously, she also wanted to enter the Heavenly Crossing list. This woman actually had the strength to enter the list. However, she didn't want to clear the list. Instead, she waited for 100 years and planned to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. 60%. Lin Ling looked at Meng Lu. Ironically, among so many generations, he was only familiar with Meng Lu. 60%? You must be kidding. However, at this moment, a disdainful voice sounded. A few figures walked out from behind. A tall youth said disdainfully. He seemed to be from the Heavenly Saint Institute. Lin Ling, I heard that you defeated Genji. You're 18th on the Heavenly Crossing list. Unfortunately, without the Great Qing Divine Dynasty's approval, that kind of battle doesn't count. That's right. That's right. Maybe this guy took advantage of Genji's injury to sneak attack and win. That's right. We've already tried to enter the list twice. This guy wants to succeed in one try. That's right. The other youths said sarcastically. They had naturally heard of Lin Ling's name. In fact, Lin Ling was only their junior. However, this junior was more famous than them. Hence, they were jealous. Chapter 27:13. A terrifying maelstrom. It's Crown Prince Tianwen and Ouyang Shengqing. Yes. Everyone looked at the young men who spoke and their expressions changed slightly. Those young men were not weak and had defeated experts on the Sky Surpass list. Unfortunately, they had failed in their previous attempts because sometimes, it depended not only on strength but also on luck. However, they had the right to mock Lin Ling. What does it have to do with you? Yes. Meng Lu immediately replied indifferently when he sensed the other party's contempt, which made the young men's faces turn cold. How dare a junior be so arrogant? You've tried to break into the list twice, but you still have to participate in the assessment. This means that you haven't entered the list yet. A guy who hasn't entered the list is so confident. I really don't know who gave you the face. Yes. Lin Ling also spoke, tit for tat. You. Yes. Those young men were speechless. Yes, they had tried to break into the list again and again. They were Lin Ling and Meng Lu's seniors, but they still hadn't entered the list. This meant that there was a problem. Trash. Yes. And Lin Ling directly told them where the problem was, because they were trash. How dare you? Yes. Fine, fine, fine. Let's see who's the trash later. Yes. Those young men gritted their teeth and stopped talking nonsense. This Lin Ling is really breaking a broken jar. Not only did he provoke the Grim Reaper, he even provoked the other young men. Yes. However, I think highly of his character. This is a martial artist of my generation. If you don't bully me, I'll treat you like a friend. If you bully me, I'll draw my sword. Yes. If such a character can achieve great things, it will definitely alarm Qingzhou. But if he dies halfway, that's all there is to it. Yes. Many people were surprised by Lin Ling's courage. He was magnanimous and fearless. Dim light samsara, everyone get ready. Yes. At this time, the ancient voice sounded again. On the ground, the 2,000 young men all breathed rapidly and shot toward the maelstrom in the sky. After passing through the vortex, a chaotic space appeared before them. What was surprising was that this was an independent space. It was dark and boundless, and there was only a ray of dim light in front of them. Those who reach the dim light will pass. If they know that they are no match for him, they can return to the starting point and be safe. Of course, they will also be eliminated. The ancient voice sounded again and entered everyone's ears. At the same time, the sky above Great Cloud Mountain turned pitch black. Everything that happened in the independent space was clearly displayed to everyone's eyes. At this moment, many people were filled with anticipation. They wondered who would pass the first test. This Lin Ling might fail in the first round. Someone gloated. He was obviously from the Lane Manor. This test wasn't just about strength, it was also about luck. Therefore, anything was possible. However, the first-generation members in the independent void couldn't hear anything from the outside world. Instead, their fighting spirit soared. So simple. Look, I'll be the first to pass. To be able to become a generation, every single one of them was a confident person. Even if they were placed in the myriad of worlds, they would still be formidable characters who ruled over a region. Those who were impulsive directly shot forward. However, at this moment, there was a sudden roar in the void. A gust of wind quietly condensed into a huge vortex and rolled toward the first-generation members. Weak. The first-generation members were powerful. As soon as the vortex was formed, they sensed it and said disdainfully, "Rumble." Many first-generation members also burst out with their unique skills. They either punched or slapped at the huge vortex. Rumble. However, something terrifying happened. The huge vortex didn't collapse when faced with the first generation's martial arts. Instead, it strangled a large number of first-generation members to death. At this moment, Great Cloud Mountain fell into a dead silence. The first-generation members were the elites of the early true immortal realm. But now, they were being killed like vegetables. That's a huge vortex formed when two worlds collide. Although it's not as powerful as the huge vortex formed when two worlds collide, it's still not something an early true immortal realm expert can block. If it's placed in the myriad of worlds, any world it passes through will be shattered. Amidst the silence, an ancient voice sounded, "If you're not careful, even an intermediate true immortal realm expert will die with regret." Hearing those words, everyone was even more startled. Was the first test already so difficult? No, this huge vortex can chase after people? Fuck. My God. Run. In the Nirvana Samsara, there was a sudden panic. The first-generation members found that they couldn't do anything to the huge vortex and wanted to escape too late. Did you see that? This is your fate. Let me tell you, this test is actually a test of attack and defense. At the starting point, Crown Prince Heavenly Rune and the others said disdainfully. It wasn't their first time here, so they were familiar with it. Although they seemed to be talking to themselves, they were obviously talking to Lin Ling and Meng Lu. Lin Ling, Meng Lu, and Luo Ho were the dazzling stars of this generation, but they didn't believe that Lin Ling and the other two were that powerful. Why are there flies buzzing everywhere? Maybe these guys failed, so they're looking for some sense of accomplishment. Unfortunately, Crown Prince Heavenly Rune and the others wanted to affect Lin Ling and the others' confidence. However, Lin Ling and the others turned a blind eye to it and talked casually instead. This kind of lazy attitude was undoubtedly more stifling than a fierce resistance. The first batch of people who rushed to the dim light, only 10 people passed. The others either died or fled back to the original place, completely eliminated. Who else wants to pass the first test? In the void, the ancient voice sounded again. Let me, juniors. I'll show you how powerful I am. Crown Prince Heavenly Rune and the others shouted coldly and shot forward. Before they left, they didn't forget to be arrogant in front of Lin Ling and the others. Rumble. A terrifying huge vortex appeared, rolling towards them to entangle them. Get lost. Crown Prince Heavenly Rune and the others unleashed their talents. They actually had a 9th grade divine body and true immortal martial spirit. As soon as they released their true immortal martial spirit, the huge vortex retreated. Amazing! Many people exclaimed. The previous generations had also attacked, but it had no effect on the huge vortex. On the other hand, Crown Prince Heavenly Rune and the others could. This showed the difference between the two. Crown Prince Heavenly Rune and the others smiled proudly and burst out with the speed of 3 realms, shooting towards the dim light. However, on the way, another huge vortex appeared and shot towards them with the speed of 3 realms. These huge vortexes seemed to be spiritual and could actually take the initiative to chase after people. Crown Prince Heavenly Rune and the others are in danger. Seeing this, many people secretly clenched their fists, worried for Crown Prince Heavenly Rune and the others. Who else but me? However, did they need to worry about Crown Prince Heavenly Rune? Billowing energy erupted and repelled the huge vortex once again. Then, they elegantly reached the end. In this batch, half of them had passed. Among them, Crown Prince Heavenly Rune and Ouyang Shangqing were the most carefree and unharmed. One should know that the previous generations who had passed were extremely miserable. Chapter 27:14. Trash is trash. The most powerful 3 of the first generation? What a joke. Crown Prince Tian Wen was enjoying the admiring gazes of the crowd. He mocked Lin Ling and the other two. I wonder how everyone thinks. Are Lin Ling and the other two qualified to be the most dazzling comets? I think Senior Ouyang and the others are more powerful than Lin Ling and the other two. Outside Dayun Mountain, the cheers of the various academies rose and fell one after another. Among them, Resplendent Academy was the most lively. They were all looking forward to Lin Ling's humiliating return. Who's in the third batch? Just then, the dim light reincarnation spoke again. At the same time, Lin Ling and Meng Lu looked at each other and said at the same time, "Don't fail." After saying that, they shook their heads and laughed. Then, they shot into the void in front of them. Lin Ling and Meng Lu are moving out. Luo Ho and Xian Linglong are also moving out. These four are the most dazzling comets of the first generation. I wonder which one of them will pass. Everyone was looking forward to it. One should know that many of the first generation wanted to enter the heavenly surpass list. However, the most famous one was Lin Ling and the other two because they had defeated the top 30 strongest generation. However, the dim light reincarnation was not only about strength, but also luck. Therefore, being famous did not mean that one could pass smoothly. At this moment, Xian Linglong, Luo Ho, and the others burst out with shocking speed. They reached the four realms speed and disappeared into the void. Then, they reached the destination. Amazing! Seeing this, many people cried out in surprise. For realm speed, they had surpassed the speed of the maelstrom. Therefore, they could pass easily. Moreover, Xian Linglong and the others did not burst out their martial arts. Obviously, they were hiding something. Even Lin Ling was secretly surprised because he could unleash the 6 realms speed with his full strength, but his opponents did not seem to be much weaker than him. Of course, he believed that Xian Linglong and the others' strongest speed was only the 5 realms speed, and it was impossible for them to exceed his speed. Meng Lu's speed wasn't fast, but his innate talent had exploded, and his true god martial spirit had appeared. It was a mysterious person with no eyes, and his entire body was covered in a vast expanse of white. After the true god martial spirit appeared, a terrifying thing happened. None of the whirlpools could get close to him. Just like that, he easily reached the finish line. Chi! Gasps rang out one after another. As expected of one of the comets, he had passed the test far too easily. Tianwen Crown Prince and the others narrowed their eyes, feeling that they could no longer swallow their pride. However, their gazes quickly fell on Lin Ling, and all of them mocked, "This trash couldn't have failed, right?" Although Lin Ling and the other two were the most dazzling comets, it didn't mean that all of them were strong. At the very least, Lin Ling hadn't reached the finish line yet, so he couldn't be considered a success. Under everyone's gazes, Lin Ling's expression was calm as he strode forward. He could use the 6 realms speed and easily pass the trial, but that was not necessary. That was because he found that those whirlpools could kill a middle-stage true god, but it didn't exceed the limit of his godly devil body. Most importantly, he wanted to experience the limits of his physical body through the great maelstrom. This guy is stupid. Damn. He must have given up on himself. Damn. Seeing Lin Ling strolling leisurely, Tianwen Crown Prince and the others were stunned and then mocked him. In Dayun Mountain, all the martial artists were the same. Because everyone wanted to reach the finish line as soon as possible, but Lin Ling was moving forward slowly. Did this mean that he had completely given up? Boom! At that moment, the rolling whirlpool appeared, and the terrifying wind could tear apart any middle-stage true god. However, Lin Ling was still calm and composed. When the whirlpool arrived, he punched out. Rumble. The rolling whirlpool was instantly blown away. What? Shit! Many people's eyes narrowed. Previously, there were also people who could blow the whirlpool away, but they all used their talents. However, Lin Ling didn't. He just relied on a pair of fists to blow the whirlpool away. He's just deliberately mystifying. Humph. Tian Wen Crown Prince and the others' faces turned ugly. Lin Ling was only a third-level true god, which was lower than them. They couldn't understand why Lin Ling's defense and attack were so strong. However, they thought that Lin Ling was only so, because passing the trial was considered powerful. Bang! 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 However, at that moment, the whirlpool attacked Lin Ling again. What surprised everyone was that Lin Ling was still moving forward, and while everyone was still in shock, he punched out again. Boom! 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 The whirlpool was blown away again, but it soon attacked again as if it wouldn't stop until it was dead. Lin Ling also met it with a punch. After 3 times, the terrifying whirlpool was blown apart by the punch. This time, not only the Nirvana Samsara, but even Dayun Mountain fell into a dead silence. This is fake. Amidst the silence, someone began to mutter to himself. Boom! However, in the next moment, another whirlpool approached Lin Ling, trying to kill him. Unfortunately, it was blown apart by Lin Ling's punch again. This punch also proved that it wasn't fake. Lin Ling had blown up the whirlpool with his fist. How terrifying! Others would blow up the whirlpool and then quickly shoot to the finish line, but this guy is actually walking slowly to the finish line. Every time a whirlpool comes, he will blow it up. Finally, someone exclaimed in shock. This was the most violent way to pass the trial since the Nirvana Samsara. Finally, Lin Ling reached the finish line. At the finish line, the first generation looked at Lin Ling in horror as if they were looking at a monster. Even Meng Lu and the others were the same. As for Tian Wen Crown Prince and the others, they looked as if they had been slapped in the face, and they couldn't say a word. In order to show off, he actually tried to break the whirlpool even if he was injured. I think this guy won't be able to pass the second stage. I think so too. He must have suffered some internal injuries. Subsequently, Tian Wen Crown Prince and the others said one after another. To put it bluntly, they were jealous. Unfortunately, Lin Ling didn't even look at them. There was only sarcasm in his eyes. With his current strength, he wasn't afraid of the Grim Reaper, so why should he be afraid of these ancient first generation? Trash is trash. Of course, Lin Ling also muttered to himself, which made Tian Wen Crown Prince and the others angry. Lin Ling, you're amazing. How much of your strength did you use before? Meng Lu asked curiously. He knew that Lin Ling could definitely pass, but how much strength he used was the most important. What about you? Lin Ling also asked. Meng Lu didn't hide and said directly, 50%. Me too. Xian Linglong and Luo Ho said. In fact, they had already used 70% of their strength, but they were embarrassed to say it out loud. As for Tian Wen Crown Prince and the others, they had naturally used 90% of their strength. Same as you. Lin Ling said with a smile. In fact, he had only used 30%, or even 20%. That's more like it. Hearing that, Meng Lu finally relaxed. He was afraid that Lin Ling had only used 40% of his strength, because that meant that he was still weaker than Lin Ling. In the first stage, 1,000 people were eliminated from 2,000 people. This showed how cruel it was. There were even 600 to 700 people who died. Chapter 27:15. Guanghua Seal Realm. The second stage is the Wide Flower Seal Realm. Those who pass must collect 999 bells or fail. At that instant, the ancient voice was heard once again. Everyone stepped into the dim light, and when they reappeared, they were in another void. This is a small world, and also a small avatar of the universal chaos. The ancient voice explained. Everyone looked over and found that there were also 10,000 worlds here, but there were no living creatures here. A deathly aura filled the entire void. This was clearly the universal chaos that had yet to mature, or perhaps it was already dead. The universal bell is inside. Go and find it yourselves. The ancient voice floated out again. The eyes of the remaining 1,000 first-generation geniuses lit up. This stage didn't seem too difficult. Look at my heaven's eye. One of the first-generation experts' pupils flickered with a peculiar light, erupting with his innate talent. That was a pair of mysterious eyes, able to see through the sun, moon, stars, great rivers, and dragon veins. I found it. The first generation was overjoyed. He hurriedly shot towards one of the realms. A moment later, he returned with a large number of bells in his hand. The bells looked ordinary, but they emitted clear ringing sounds. That's the universe bell. No way, he passed so quickly. This stage is very advantageous for some geniuses with heavenly eye divine ability. Yeah, it's too easy on them. The other first-generation members were taken aback, and immediately voiced their dissatisfaction. However, the aged voice in the void sneered and didn't say anything else. Rumble. After he sneered, a rumble suddenly broke out in the endless void. The first generation with the bell in his hand emitted a strange light, and then it exploded. The explosive power could be said to be the power to destroy the world. What's going on? Those bells will explode? And the power is too terrifying, isn't it? A single bell is like the explosion of 10 realms, and there is more than one of these bells. Could it be the legendary world-destroying bell? The first generation, who were still far away, cried out in alarm. Their faces were extremely pale. How was this simple? This was a matter of life and death. That Dai who tried to test the waters died an unjust death. I know, these bells should be the world-exterminating bells. Not only do they have strong explosive power, they also have terrifying speed. As long as one touches the bells, it will trigger a world-exterminating explosion. However, at this moment, a solemn voice suddenly sounded. Moreover, he also shot towards the myriad realms. When he returned, a large number of bells appeared behind him. They were like the lanterns of the death god that followed him. Moon meditation, dark star steps. That first-generation leader let out a furious roar and actually erupted with the speed of 4 realms. He weaved through the bells one after another, and those mysterious bells chased after him, but they simply couldn't get close to him. He was fine. Facing the terrifying world-exterminating bell, he was like a fish in water, safe and sound. Such a scene undoubtedly caused many people to open their mouths wide. That first generation was too powerful. I passed. As the first-generation successor flashed through the void with mysterious footsteps, he couldn't help but shout in excitement. To pass, you need to collect 999 bells. Have you collected them yet? However, very quickly, that ancient voice sounded again. Only then did people realize that the first-generation successor could only avoid the bells, but didn't collect all of them. This is very simple. Watch me. That first-generation successor suddenly smiled confidently and began to collect the bells. Rumble. However, in the process of collecting, a terrifying world-exterminating power erupted. That first-generation successor was killed alive, and his bones were also blasted into pieces. This time, everyone was like cicadas in winter. Could it be that there are real and fake bells? Someone let out a doubtful voice, but it caused even more people to nod. This meant that not only did they have to avoid the world-exterminating explosion of the bells, but they also had to find the real bells. Only the real bells wouldn't cause the world-exterminating explosion. And this was even more difficult than imagined. A moment of carelessness and they were afraid that they would forever be annihilated. The sky-surpassing list is indeed not easy to rush up. I give up. Even if I can avoid those bells, I can't find the real bells. I also give up. I'm the opposite. My heaven's eye can see the real bells, but I can't avoid the world-exterminating bells. Many first-generation successors paled and gave up on the second round. It was too difficult. This was a comprehensive test for them. Only trash will give up. Let me do it. However, some were afraid, and some were not. That heavenly rune crown prince made his move. He shot into the myriad of worlds and then appeared with a large number of bells. And he burst out with the speed of 4 realms. Among the thousands of bells, he swam like a fish and quickly collected the real bells. A moment later, he narrowly passed. This time, he became the first person to pass. In this world, if not me, who can do it? A proud roar floated out from his mouth. He seemed to be able to see that among these bells, there were world-exterminating bells and the bells needed for the test. As long as one could avoid the world-exterminating bells and find the bells needed for the test, this round would not be difficult. And with him opening the door, the others also understood, and one after another, they followed suit. Gradually, some people failed and some passed. This round was indeed dependent on luck. Chapter 27:16. His luck was terrible. Crown Prince Tianwen, right? You've collected 990 bells, so you're proud of yourself? Haha. Lin Ling looked at Crown Prince Tianwen. That's right, let me tell you, Lin Ling's senior brother Zhua is my brother, and he told me to have fun with you in the trial. Crown Prince Tianwen finally said why he was targeting Lin Ling. He and Ministers Zhua's students were from the same school. So that's how it is. That's good. If I collect 1,800 bells, you have to curse your senior brother as trash in front of everyone. How about it? Haha. Lin Ling's voice became colder. Crown Prince Tianwen was stunned. He dared not answer because cursing Ministers Zhua's students was a capital offense. Do you dare or not? Lin Ling looked at Crown Prince Tianwen with disdain. Crown Prince Tianwen, why are you afraid of him? Accept his challenge. Someone said coldly. Crown Prince Tianwen pondered for a moment and then nodded with a sneer. Okay, I accept your challenge. If you fail, you'll kneel down in front of Senior Zhua and slap yourself 3 times, calling yourself trash. Many people's hearts skipped a beat when they heard his words. How ruthless. This was because if Lin Ling failed, he would immediately be attacked by all the major forces and would die without a doubt. However, before he died, Lin Ling was humiliated by the left minister's disciple and called trash. This death was too tragic. Lin Ling's chances of defeating Crown Prince Tianwen were slim because the difficulty of Lin Ling's test had increased. He had to collect 1,800 bells. How was that possible? Go, trash, we'll wait for you. That was why Crown Prince Tianwen and Ouyang Shangqing were so confident. Seeing this, Lin Ling snickered coldly. The anger in his heart boiled again. Everyone bullied him because he didn't have a powerful background. Everyone looked down on him, thinking that Lin Ling was only a so-so. But they would all regret it. Lin Ling's eyes seemed to penetrate the void and fell on everyone who wanted him dead. He gritted his teeth and waited for the moment to rise. Whoosh! He shot towards the myriad worlds and disappeared without a trace. If Lin Ling is lucky and finds a world full of real bells, then he might be able to pass. That's impossible. His luck isn't that good. It's hard to say. The second stage is a test of speed, heavenly vision technique, and luck, and these 3 are all indispensable to a genius. Everyone was discussing animatedly. Some were worried about Lin Ling, and some were deeply afraid that Lin Ling would pass easily. Everyone had their own opinions. Whoosh! Whoosh! However, at this moment, a figure shot out from the myriad worlds. Moreover, he was followed by a large number of bells. At this moment, everyone held their breaths. Was Lin Ling going to succeed? Lin Ling, don't fail miserably. Meng Lu secretly broke out in cold sweat for Lin Ling because he firmly believed that his and Lin Ling's martial stages were on the Heavenly Surpass ranking list and not these 3 tests. However, under everyone's gaze, Lin Ling weaved through the myriad of bells in a sorry state. He did not collect any bells. This meant that these bells were not real. This guy is unlucky enough. Doesn't he have a bell? Everyone was astonished, and then they burst into laughter. His luck is really bad. Xian Linglong felt indignant for Lin Ling. Luck is also a part of strength. However, Crown Prince Tian Wen immediately retorted, his words were mixed with gloating. Among the countless bells, Lin Ling's face was gloomy. If he touched a bell, it would explode with the power to destroy the world. Then, he activated the Four Realms speed and weaved through the myriad of bells. That calmness made many people cry out in surprise. Because they did not expect Lin Ling to have the Four Realms speed. This meant that Lin Ling was already in an invincible position. Lin Ling quickly disappeared into the myriad of realms, and then brought out a large number of bells. This time, he had to bear the bells of 2 realms. However, his luck was indeed bad because the second time he brought out the bells, none of them were real. Huh, what an unlucky guy. Seeing this scene, everyone laughed. Lin Ling's luck was really bad. Everyone could already see Lin Ling's failure. Just this? The Grim Reaper, who was the strongest king of the generation, also revealed a mocking smile at this moment. Lin Ling couldn't even pass the 3 tests, and he still had the qualifications to meet him? What a trash. Brother Ling. Yu Yu and the rest's beautiful eyes were red, feeling indignant for Lin Ling. However, under everyone's gaze, Lin Ling did not have any intention of giving up, and once again shot into the myriad of realms. This time, don't tell me they are all fake again. If that's the case, he's the unluckiest guy in history. Speed, heavenly eye, divine ability, and luck. If his luck is so bad, what's the use of it if he doesn't die? Seeing this, many people whispered to each other. The third time, Lin Ling's luck was not good. Although not all of the bells were fake, only 100 of them were real. With 100 bells, not to mention the bet with Heavenly Rune Crown Prince, it was impossible for him to even pass the test. As a result, even more mockery erupted. Lin Ling seemed to have gone mad. Risking his life and death, he crossed the sky full of bells and shot into the myriad of realms again. The 4th time. Lin Ling's luck was not that bad, but only 200 bells appeared. Not enough. The 5th time. This time, his luck was even worse. Only 50 bells were real. The 6th time. The 7th time. Gradually, Dian Mountain became silent. They looked at Lin Ling, who would rather die than give up. Many people's mockery quietly turned into admiration. What perseverance! What stubbornness! When ordinary people encountered this scene, they would have already given up. This was because if all the bells exploded, it would be enough to destroy 1,000 realms whirling expert. However, Lin Ling still did not give up on his goal. He was racing against the Grim Reaper. It's the 10th time he entered the myriad of realms. Finally, an old man muttered to himself. Although he failed, it's a glorious defeat. Another person replied. Moreover, his words were approved by countless people. At this moment, in the wide Flower Seal realm, the terrifying ancient bells had already covered the void. They were like a river or a sea, rolling and surging. No one thought that Lin Ling could succeed again. In fact, no one thought that Lin Ling could survive. One had to know that with the speed of 4 realms, one could avoid the pursuit of the world-extinguishing bells. However, if the bells of 10 realms gathered together, the space that a cultivator had to dodge would become smaller and smaller. In the end, it would be impossible to dodge. When the bells of 10 realms exploded, the power of the explosion was unimaginable. This stage is indeed beyond my imagination. I didn't expect my luck to be so bad. However, at this moment, Lin Ling's voice suddenly rang out from the wide Flower Seal realm, causing many people's expressions to change. At this point, Lin Ling was still in the mood to talk. He was even mocking his own luck. This guy was crazy. Do you still know that your luck is bad? I thought that you would never know your own limits. Chapter 27:17. Who else but me? However, it was clear that Lin Ling did not hear his words. Instead, he continued to speak. I know that many of you want me dead. I know that many of you want to see me fall. I don't have any enmity with many of you because I've offended too many powerful forces. That's why you're gloating over my misfortune. That's also why you want to curry favor with those powerful forces and target me everywhere. His heroic voice drifted out and landed in the ears of countless people on Great Cloud Mountain. They all blushed as if he had hit the nail on the head. Shut up. Who do you think you are? Do you think we're in the mood to target you? Furious voices resounded one after another. Even though they knew that Lin Ling couldn't hear them, they still couldn't help but reprimand Lin Ling because this junior Lin Ling was too arrogant. However, Lin Ling's voice could transmit out from the wide flower seal realm. Unfortunately, I'll have to disappoint all of you trash. As soon as he said this, Qing Zhou seemed to be furious. Speed, heavenly eye divine ability, and luck. Your luck isn't up to par, and you still want to pass? You still have the face to call us trash. You're the trash. Immediately, more mocking voices sounded. Many people found Lin Ling an eyesore. Lin Ling seemed to be able to guess their thoughts, and his cold voice sounded again. Speed, heavenly eye mystique, and a test of luck. I can't deny that my luck is very bad, very bad. But speed, heavenly eye technique, who else can beat me? Rumble. At the same time, all the bells in the wide flower seal erupted, rushing out with a terrifying world-destroying power. This caused the eyes of many to narrow, because they saw that Lin Ling actually didn't dodge, but chose to let those bells drown him. Is this guy courting death? Everyone's eyes widened. As for the wide flower seal realm's generation, their expressions all changed greatly. 10 realms bells gathered, and then formed a great explosion. This power was too terrifying. Even though they were hiding in the distance, they were like cicadas in winter. Lin Ling is dead for sure. At this moment, no one believed that Lin Ling could still be alive. They were afraid that not even a piece of his flesh was left. What a pitiful person. I originally wanted to make him kneel, but now I'm afraid I won't be able to see this scene. After an unknown amount of time, Crown Prince Tianwen said sarcastically. This sentence also floated out of Great Cloud Mountain, causing it to fall silent. Lin Ling had lost the bet with Crown Prince Heavenly Rune. But now that he was dead, how could he kneel and kowtow? Lin Ling. Milord. Big Brother Ling. Yu and the others cried out in pain. Even Lord Red Jade Tiger was the same. This was because it was impossible for Lin Ling to block the explosion that could destroy the 1,000 realms. I'm sorry, trash, but I, Lin Ling, am still alive. But right at this moment, a voice that was shocking like a celestial being suddenly resounded. In the wide flower seal's world, a blue and white robe slowly walked forward and appeared in front of everyone's eyes. There were even a few bells that did not explode and were chasing after the blue and white robed young man. However, the young man's body emitted surging flames, and he easily dodged the bells with a speed that was several times faster than the bells. This meant that Lin Ling's speed was faster than all the bells, and he had avoided the destructive power of the previous explosion. Silence. Great Cloud Mountain was silent, 1,800 bells. Fortunately, I did not disappoint you. I have collected all of them. In the silence, the domineering voice of a king floated out again. Lin Ling's right hand was holding a large number of bells that looked like a gorgeous tail, and he appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Not only did he not die, but he had also completed the test. Moreover, he had doubled the number of bells. This. Impossible. Could it be that Lin Ling's luck was the worst in the test of speed, heavenly vision ability, and luck, but his speed and heavenly vision ability were the best? A large number of people cried out in surprise. So what if his luck was bad? Powerful strength made up for all the bad luck. And Lin Ling was also the first generation in history to survive the gathering of the bells of the 10 worlds. Such a large area of explosion of the bells, unless he has a speed that exceeds the speed of the 4 worlds. I'm afraid that's not all. Only by exceeding the speed of the 5 worlds can he avoid it. But even so, how can he find the real bells in such a short time? Everyone cried out in surprise. Their voices were so loud that it was like the waves of the sea. This showed how surprised they were. No one knew that Lin Ling's soul power was so strong, and coupled with his abnormal speed, he could collect all 1,000 bells before the bells exploded. Didn't many people want me to die before? Didn't many people want to see a good show? Sorry, trash, you are too inexperienced. While everyone was shocked, Lin Ling's indifferent voice sounded again. How others treat me, I treat them. Therefore, Lin Ling did not need to give them any face. Ding! 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 At the same time, Lin Ling waved his right hand, and the bells in his hand made a crisp sound, proving that the bells were real. When those voices merged together, they actually formed a piercing song of victory. It was soul-stirring and reverberated in all directions. Good! Red Jade Tiger was the first to shout excitedly. He looked at the proud young man in the sky and his heart was boiling. He knew that this moment belonged to Lin Ling. Lin Ling had slapped everyone's faces with his proud results. Who else could it be but him in the second round? Lin Ling, pass. Almost at the same time, the ancient voice sounded, causing the hearts of all the martial artists in Great Cloud Mountain to jump. Pass. This was the last thing they wanted to see. Because Lin Ling had passed, it meant that they had to admit that they were trash. Crown Prince Tianwen, you must accept your defeat. At this time, Lin Ling's cold voice sounded again. Countless eyes were on Crown Prince Tianwen. He was very confident that he had won. But now, what else could he say? The test is not over yet. Let's talk about it after it's over. Crown Prince Tianwen's expression kept changing as he said coldly. Was he going to kneel down in front of Lin Ling and call Senior Brothers Wu a piece of trash? If that was the case, Senior Brothers Wu would definitely kill him. Lin Ling, don't play to the gallery. You've passed. If you have any personal grudges, leave them for after the test. At this moment, the old voice floated out with a sense of reprimanding Lin Ling. Lin Ling's eyes narrowed. Crown Prince Tianwen wanted to teach him a lesson on behalf of Prime Minister's Wu's disciple, but the ancient voice did not stop him. Now that he had won, the ancient voice was reprimanding him. Next is the 3rd round. Without waiting for Lin Ling's reply, the ancient voice sounded again. This is unfair. Seeing this, many people in Great Cloud Mountain were dissatisfied. They had always been in the neutral camp and were convinced by Lin Ling's courage, so they did not target Lin Ling. When he saw this scene, he instantly felt that the ancient expert was too unfair. Chapter 27:18. Challenge yourself. Is it her? On the other side of Dayun Mountain, Lord Eighth looked at Leiyin Mother. If the latter had secretly bribed the experts of the Great Qing Divine Dynasty, then the referee-like experts would definitely target Lin Ling. And Thunder Mother often appeared in the Divine Dynasty. She had this kind of power. How despicable. The Red Jade Tiger seemed to have sensed something and couldn't help but shout angrily. As for Lin Ling, he had also noticed something, and the wisp of fury in his heart boiled even more. Lin Ling, don't be rash. If you do anything out of line, you'll be playing right into their hands. Meng Lu reminded him softly, feeling indignant on behalf of Lin Ling. I know. Lin Ling took a deep breath and regained his composure. Xian Linglong, who was not far away, was shocked. A normal person would have already lost their rationality after encountering so many people making things difficult for them and being targeted by the referee. However, Lin Ling only took a deep breath, and he regained his composure. This control was too strong. The lion, the king of beasts, is indeed terrifying, but a lion that can control its emotions is the true king of beasts. After that, Xian Linglong said to herself. Her evaluation of Lin Ling went up a notch. The third stage is also the last stage. Those who pass will have the qualifications to challenge the Heaven Crossing rankings. At this moment, the ancient voice sounded again, but it was mixed with malevolence. However, don't be arrogant and complacent. Be careful of failing miserably. These words seemed to be directed at Lin Ling. Follow me. Now, there were less than 500 first-generation cultivators left. Then, they all walked out of the void. And the third test was at Great Cloud Mountain. Rumble. A rumbling sound suddenly resounded, and the mountains in the surroundings were like bamboo shoots after a rain. They actually slowly grew. These mountains were icy cold, and they were like emotionless swords. Moreover, numerous mysterious barriers appeared around the mountains. Jiang Lianfeng. Seeing those mysterious barriers, exclamations of surprise immediately sounded. That was because that was where the divine generals of the Great Azure Divine Dynasty cultivated. Those who could become divine generals of the Great Azure Divine Dynasty were indeed godlike existences. For the third stage, everyone has to choose a mountain and defeat the opponent on the mountain. Once you defeat the opponent, you will pass the stage. Also, I'll say one more thing. The opponents that appear at the mountain peak are the strongest opponents you've ever met in your life. Their cultivation bases are at the same level as yours. Over the years, 50% of the people who have passed this test have died. That ancient and majestic voice became cold and indifferent, causing all the first-generation experts to tremble like cicadas in winter. In fact, they had all heard of the third stage. It was said to be the cruelest. This was because the most feared enemy of a martial artist's life would appear at the peak of the mountain. Only by defeating the inner demons would one be able to pass. I'll be the first to go. Lin Ling, let's have another bet. Let's see who can win and pass. If I win, the previous bet doesn't count, and you still have to kowtow to senior brothers Hua. Tian when Crown Prince lost to Lin Ling before, and he couldn't wait to take revenge. Therefore, he looked at Lin Ling contemptuously and said. Hearing this, Lin Ling didn't say anything. Luo Ho, who had been silent all this time, couldn't stand it anymore and said, Tian when Crown Prince, can you be any more despicable? If you win, not only will the previous bet not count, but you also want Lin Ling to kowtow to senior brothers Hua. You're taking advantage of him. Generally speaking, if Tian when Crown Prince won, the previous bet would be even, and it would be very fair. Who knew that Tian when Crown Prince would go even further and shamelessly ask Lin Ling to kowtow to him? This also turned into a bet for 2 bets. It's none of your business. If you provoke me, I'll kill you. Tian when Crown Prince immediately looked at Luo Ho coldly and scolded. Luo Ho and Lin Ling were both rising stars. Tian when Crown Prince didn't like Luo Ho. Then you can try. Luo Ho was also angered. These old generation experts were taking advantage of their seniority. He wasn't afraid of them. However, Lin Ling quickly stopped him and nodded, I agree to this bet. Good, straightforward. Just wait, you'll lose for sure. Tian when Crown Prince was afraid that Lin Ling would go back on his words. He immediately nodded and rushed towards the mountain peak. He didn't say what he would do after he lost. It could be seen that he was indeed despicable and shameless. However, how could Lin Ling let him go? Just as he was about to step into the mountain peak, a cold voice rang out. If you lose, you'll die. Those words caused Tian when Crown Prince's body to tremble. Inexplicably, he was filled with panic and anger. However, he had already disappeared from the mountain peak. Moreover, his figure appeared at the peak of the mountain. Moreover, his opponent had also appeared. His cultivation was the same as his, at the 4th level of True God Realm. However, his opponent was an illusion. This person was one of the strongest generation on the Heavenly Surpass list, named Wei Hao. It can't be, right? His opponent is too simple. On the ground, many of the first generation exclaimed. Although this Wei Hao was strong, if his cultivation was the same as Tianwen Crown Prince, then he might not be Tianwen Crown Prince's opponent. Soon, billowing smoke covered everything on the mountain peak, preventing people from seeing Tianwen Crown Prince's strength. This was also the Great Azure Divine Dynasty's protection for the first generation. Chapter 27:19. The Strength of One's Self. Countless people stared at the mountain peak where Lin Ling was, and then they all spoke out. It wasn't until Lin Ling's mountain peak was covered by clouds that the crowd finally stopped their discussion. From their point of view, Lin Ling had met the strongest of them, and the result would be a crushing defeat. It was also because challenging himself was publicly acknowledged to be extremely difficult. It could even be said to be hellish. Wow, someone is leaving the mountain. Why are the clouds above the mountains dispersing? But soon, everyone's gazes landed on the remaining hundreds of mountains. They saw someone walking down from the mountains with a helpless expression on his face. Obviously, he admitted defeat, so he was completely eliminated. As for the mountain peak where the clouds had dispersed, it was even more merciless. That was because the first generation that had participated in the competition had been directly killed by the illusory barrier. The illusory images were at the same cultivation level as the real person, but the opponents were all strange and bizarre. Some of them were even the masters of the past, the strongest demon king, supreme venerable, and so on. Thus, if one admitted defeat too slowly, they would be obliterated. A 50% elimination rate was indeed true. At the same time, Meng Lu's opponent also appeared. It was a person from the tomb, his clan brother. However, in the past, he cultivated a secret technique and entered the tomb to become a demon. In the end, he died. This clan brother was the most eye-catching genius of the Tomb Guardian clan. It's you. Meng Lu couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. He never imagined that his opponent would be so strong. Because this was also the inner demon of his life, and also the opponent that he pursued for his entire life. However, his opponent's cultivation level was the same as his. This meant that he had a chance of winning. Suddenly, he thought about how Lin Ling had been forcefully assigned to a mountain peak. His opponent must be even more terrifying. And that was indeed the case. At this moment, on Lin Ling's mountain peak, Lin Ling stood there quietly. The person in front of him was exactly the same as him. Even the aura was the same. The Great Azure Divine Dynasty is really amazing. They can actually imitate someone who looks exactly like me. Lin Ling's expression was extremely solemn. Because his opponent was himself, he also knew how terrifying his opponent was. World-swallowing beast. Without any hesitation, Lin Ling's entire body emitted an ancient aura. He took a step forward and took the lead to shoot towards his opponent. World-swallowing beast. His opponent was exactly the same as him. They both had the divine body talent, which surprised Lin Ling even more. Rumble. Their fists collided, and both of them retreated 100 meters. The surging waves of air also tore the mountain peak apart. This mountain has the Demon Revolution illusory world, the Supreme Solipsistic world, and the Heavenly Net world. These enchantments can block all detection, then I can also fight with all my strength. Lin Ling suppressed the heaviness in his heart, and a surge of fighting spirit also boiled up. He, too, wanted to fight with his full strength. Moreover, if he couldn't defeat him, then he would definitely fail the third stage. Ashura sword formation. Whoosh! Whoosh! With a wave of his sleeves, countless swords shot out, revealing their sharpness. However, his opponent had also activated the Ashura sword formation, and even the tyrannical Song sword in his hand was the same as Lin Ling's. Terrifying. Even imitating immortal treasures? Condense. The other party did not give Lin Ling any time to hesitate. He had already condensed the Ashura sword formation into a giant sword. It was the same for Lin Ling. The two giant swords were infused with the terrifying power of Sword Heart as they collided madly. Flame God's Heart, heavenly dome change. When the swords collided, Lin Ling also activated the evil flame change, and directly used the fourth transformation, heavenly dome change. His opponent was the same. The flames crazily intertwined, and the mountain peak had already become a sea of fire. If a stage 5 true god expert was here, he would be instantly killed. Unfortunately, no one noticed the intense battle here. If the left Prime Minister's disciple was here, he would definitely not dare to challenge Lin Ling after seeing this terrifying battle. Flame wheel. The giant coffin descended, and it started to beat like a heart. The moment this flame coffin appeared, it actually absorbed all of Lin Ling's realm essence. Boom! The two giant coffins crazily collided, and the entire mountain peak shook slightly. That terrifying power, not to mention the left Prime Minister's disciple, even if the death god was here, he would still be filled with hatred. Unfortunately, no one knew, not a single person knew. Bang! At the same time, two figures crashed onto the mountain peak, and they both spat out blood. They were the illusions created by Lin Ling and the mountain peak. It's really terrifying. Lin Ling revealed a bitter smile. Only when he experienced it personally did he know how strong he was when he used his full strength. That kind of strength was not only invincible among the stage 6 true gods, but it could also kill a large number of stage 7 true gods. And now, he did not know how to win. The mountain peak Lin Ling is on is so intense. If he doesn't admit defeat, he will probably die on the mountain peak. The general training peak is the cruelest. Over the years, the weak were all killed, but this kind of purgatory is used on these juniors. Look, there are hundreds of mountains, and more people are leaving. Everyone looked at the vast mountain peak, and each of them said with a serious expression. In fact, even if the emperors of the 10,000 worlds went to the general training peak, they might not be able to leave alive. Even their mounts, the Chilans, and flood dragons, were bowing their heads, looking at the mountain peak with reverence. From time to time, there would be a first generation rushing out from the mountain peak, their bodies covered in blood, their faces pale, as if they had rushed out from hell. They had all admitted defeat. And the number of people was increasing. As for those with excellent perseverance, they still did not give up any chance, but in the end, they died on the mountain peak. In the same realm, they could not win against the illusion barrier. If you can't even win against someone of the same realm, it means that your strength is not enough. Wanting to go up the list is just a waste of time. That old voice sounded from time to time, cold and emotionless. As if it was not a first generation that died, but a few ants. It could be seen that it was indeed very difficult to enter the eyes of the great Azure Divine Dynasty. As for the strongest generation on the heavenly surpass list, they all sneered and gloated, as if saying, "Want to surpass them?" The only outcome was death. Bang! Right at this moment, one of the mountains suddenly exploded apart, and then a figure slowly walked down from it. It was the Dream Stream. The general training peak was destroyed, the Dream Stream succeeded. Many strong people's eyes suddenly flashed. This was the third round of assessment, and the first to pass meant that they had the qualifications to challenge the heavenly surpass list. With the Dream Stream at the beginning, there were also first generation who blasted the mountain peak, and they walked down with injured bodies. Luo Ho, Xian Ling Long, they have all passed. Under the famous name, there is indeed no one with an undeserved reputation. It seems that there will not be more than 20 people who will challenge the heavenly surpass list this year. The final results of the 3 rounds of assessment were gradually born. But it still made people shudder. Among the 2000 first generation, only 20 people had the qualifications to go up the list. It was more difficult than imagined. What? I'm not the first to leave the mountain peak? At this moment, another mountain peak exploded, and then a figure shot out in a sorry state. It was the Crown Prince Tianwen. He turned his head and found that his senior and junior brothers had all failed, such as Ouyang Shangqing and the rest. On the contrary, the Dream Stream and the rest had succeeded, which made him burn with jealousy. Trash is trash, the illusion barrier that appeared was the weakest, but you're not the first to succeed. Can you be any more embarrassing? Martial Red Jade Tiger's strength was monstrous. Right now, he was using his strength to bet on Lin Ling. Compared to Dean Qin, Red Jade Tiger is more like Lin Ling's elder. In Resplendent Academy, some geniuses who were familiar with Lin Ling muttered to themselves. During Lin Ling's decline, the one who still protected Lin Ling was Red Jade Tiger. As for Dean Qin of Resplendent Academy, she was like a falling wall being kicked by everyone. She couldn't wait to cut ties with Lin Ling. We have already made the blood oath. Crown Prince Heavenly Rune, do you dare to make the blood oath with your martial heart? If Lin Ling passes, your martial heart will collapse and you will never learn martial arts again. At this moment, Yu Yu's indifferent voice drifted out once again, causing countless people to look at Crown Prince Heavenly Rune. Yu Yu and the others were bold and carefree, swearing as they wished. What about Crown Prince Heavenly Rune? At this moment, Crown Prince Heavenly Rune's eyes flickered. He didn't expect that Lin Ling's people would trust him so much. But now, they wanted him to make the blood oath? He was somewhat hesitant. Shameful. A dignified generation is actually inferior to a woman. How shameful. Seeing this, many people immediately mocked. Who do you think you are? I want to become the strongest generation. How can your blood oath be compared to mine? Get lost. Crown Prince Heavenly Rune felt that he couldn't put his face down and immediately shouted coldly. His words seemed to be saying that it wasn't that he didn't dare, but that Yu Yu and the others' status wasn't on the same level as him. After saying that, his gaze fell on Lin Ling's mountain. He shook his head in disdain and said, "It's the same whether you make the blood oath or not. Lin Ling, if you don't admit defeat, you will die." Boom. However, just as he finished speaking, one of the mountains suddenly shook violently. Then, under countless gazes, it directly exploded. The explosion caused the entire mountain range to tremble violently, as if the godly emperor had awakened. The vast and majestic Great Cloud Mountain suddenly became silent. Could it be that Lin Ling passed? Chapter 27-21. Luck was also a part of one's strength. It was impossible for Lin Ling to pass the hell-like highest difficulty. In the history of General Yen Peak, there were only 5 god generals who passed this difficulty. Instead, all the other god generals who entered the peak perished. Pa. At the same time, a figure stood up with difficulty from the shattered rocks. His long robe was torn, and his entire body was drenched in blood. As he moved forward, large amounts of blood would flow out with every step. It was a ghastly sight. However, everyone could see clearly that the figure was actually Lin Ling. He was still alive. Furthermore, he defeated the hell-like barrier illusion. Of course, many people could see that Lin Ling was obviously severely injured, which meant that the battle was very intense. Some people even suspected that Lin Ling might die halfway. However, that staggering figure still walked out of the Green Mountain with determination. It was telling everyone that a miracle had happened. Lin Ling, impressive. First place in all 3 tests. Meng Lu couldn't help but smile. Lin Ling, good job. Of course, he was shocked as well. After all, his previous test wasn't the highest difficulty, but he had to use a Herculean effort to win. Lin Ling's test was hell-like difficulty. Big Brother Ling. In the distance, Yu Yu and the others were crying tears of joy. They felt as though all the hardships were over and the good times were coming. They even felt that the strong figure was very familiar. It was the Gu Yen sect, the Heaven Mystics Kingdom, the sacred ground of the rainforest. The stubborn youth had fallen and stood up again and again. This was Lin Ling. Great, no wonder you are the marshal of the Martial God Battalion. That Red Jade Tiger was so excited that he couldn't speak. His martial Dao heart didn't have to crumble. That kid still doted on him. Without any suspense, the entire Great Cloud Mountain was shaking because of Lin Ling. Lin Ling, how did you pass? Right at this moment, an aged voice suddenly echoed. He seemed to be extremely surprised. According to the norm, Lin Ling shouldn't be able to defeat him when he was in the same realm. However, Lin Ling did not say a word. He simply disdained to pay attention to him. Because from the words of the other party, he understood that the highest difficulty, General Lien Peak, must have been arranged by the other party. You cheated. You must have used some kind of treasure. Crown Prince Tianwen was stunned for a long time. Suddenly, he pointed at Lin Ling and cursed. It was just luck. Lin Ling finally raised his head and coldly spat out a sentence. This sentence was like a silent slap to the faces of those who had been watching Lin Ling's show. At this moment, their faces were burning with pain. Lin Ling's luck had always been bad. Did his luck finally improve this time? Relying on luck to pass? Luck? How can you pass these 3 trials by luck? You must have cheated. Tianwen Crown Prince was furious and couldn't help but shout. He had passed the hellish difficulty. This meant that Lin Ling was the first in the 3 trials. How could he swallow this humiliation? Even the mysterious voice rang out again, mixed with unquestionable majesty. The Great Azure Divine Dynasty pays close attention to the Heavenly Surpass rankings. If anyone is found to have cheated, they will all be killed. Therefore, you should explain yourself. Relying on luck won't convince the crowd. However, just as he finished speaking, Lin Ling sneered and said, luck is also a part of one's strength. This slap was even louder. Because the mysterious judge had always said that luck was a part of one's strength. Now, he was saying that luck won't convince the crowd? Was he trying to get Lin Ling to slap his face? This judge was shameless. That's right. Luck is also a part of one's strength. A large number of voices rang out from Dayun Mountain. Emperors from all over the world were on Lin Ling's side. This was because the current Lin Ling had won their admiration. However, Lin Ling continued to walk forward. His pace was unsteady. His target was Tianwen Crown Prince. Every step he took seemed difficult. However, his aura was like an unsheathed sword, causing people to tremble in fear. What are you trying to do? Looking at Lin Ling, Tianwen Crown Prince suddenly panicked. However, Lin Ling did not say a word. His face was cold. Seeing this, Tianwen Crown Prince quietly took a step back. He was actually afraid of Lin Ling. He did not even know why he was afraid. Anyway, when he saw Lin Ling walking towards him, he panicked. Trash, he is seriously injured and his cultivation is lower than yours. Why are you afraid of him? He has defeated the top 30 experts of the Heavenly Surpass rankings. Haven't you? At this moment, a cold voice rang in Tianwen Crown Prince's ears. It was the voice of the left Prime Minister's disciple. He immediately calmed down. Yes, everyone wanted to challenge the Heavenly Surpass rankings. Why should he be afraid of Lin Ling? In his opinion, as long as Lin Ling was not the strongest of the generation recognized by the Great Azure Divine Dynasty, he would not be much stronger than him. Not to mention that Lin Ling was seriously injured. Half-dead man, get lost. Thinking of this, Tianwen Crown Prince immediately placed his hands behind his back and said indifferently. You made a bet with me earlier. Now, who won? Lin Ling finally spoke. I admit that you have won. Don't worry, I, Tianwen Crown Prince, am a man of my words. I will definitely return the bet that I owe you. However, the bet will have to wait until the end of the Heavenly Surpass rankings. Tianwen Crown Prince said without looking at Lin Ling, shameless. If Lin Ling can't make it to the Heavenly Surpass rankings, he won't be valued by the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. At that time, he will definitely die. Then, how will Tianwen Crown Prince pay the bet? Unfortunately, no one was a fool. Everyone knew that Tianwen Crown Prince was scheming. However, Lin Ling did not seem to understand Tian Wen Crown Prince's words. He continued to move forward. His figure was swaying like a candle in the wind. Half-dead man, do you really want to die? Seeing this, Tian Wen Crown Prince's eyes were filled with killing intent as he waited for Lin Ling's arrival. Didn't you want to know how I passed the third round of the assessment? Then, I will tell you now. Finally, Lin Ling's footsteps came to a halt. A sword appeared in his hand. He did not even need to merge his two dantians. Relying on his divine devil body and the sharpness of his sword, he slashed out fiercely. You are courting death. Humph. Tian Wen Crown Prince shouted angrily. He did not expect Lin Ling to be so arrogant. He dared to attack in front of so many people. He immediately unleashed a powerful technique. Unfortunately, it was useless. That sword seemed to be able to cut through any world. Lightning, mountains, everything. In the Great Thousand World, 9 mountains and 10 rivers, everything was cut through by the sword. Rumble. The terrifying sword was faster than lightning. After slashing out, a huge sword mark appeared in the sky. Through the sword mark, one could see the chaotic universe in the distance. Lin Ling kept his sword and turned to leave. I have said that if you lose, you will die. Cold. Many people on Great Cloud Mountain swallowed hard and stared at Crown Prince Tian Wen. They only had one thought in their minds. Could it be that Lin Ling killed Tian Wen Crown Prince with one slash? Tian Wen Crown Prince's strength was not weak. He could even enter the top 30 of the Heavenly Surpass rankings. Lin Ling rose like a comet, but if he failed to clear the rankings, then everything would be for naught. Next, the Battle of the Heavens List battle. Seemingly having sensed that Lin Ling was seriously injured, the ancient voice did not wait for Lin Ling and the rest to rest properly. It actually contained a ferocious feeling within it. It can't be, right? Immediately rush up the rankings? You have to know that the strongest generation are all resting and biding their time, but these people who want to rush into the rankings are immediately fighting again. They have not recovered their strength at all. This year's rankings seem to have changed. Once this decision came out, everyone was shocked. Many people faintly sensed that the mysterious judge seemed to be targeting Lin Ling. This was normal because at the beginning, no one thought that Lin Ling could pass. But now, the miracle created by Lin Ling had undoubtedly increased the success rate to more than 50%. Lin Ling, you openly killed people on the Heavens List battle. This is looking down on the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. It is also killing the hope of others and affecting the fairness of the Heavens List battle. At this time, the ancient voice sounded again. It was cold and ruthless. So, the Great Azure Divine Dynasty thinks that you have to challenge 10 rounds. Moreover, you have to fight continuously. What? Once these words came out, it was earth-shattering. Unexpectedly, not only could Lin Ling not rest, he had to fight continuously. As a result, Lin Ling's 50% success rate fell to 0 again. This unfair decision immediately made Qi Yuhu and the others angry. Unfair. How are you a judge? Because Lin Ling killed the Crown Prince of Heavenly Rune. This is to secretly eliminate competitors. If it wasn't for the Great Azure Divine Dynasty giving him face, they would have killed him. No one can violate the dignity of the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. Lin Ling can do anything and be rampant. However, he can't kill his opponents. This is unfair. Therefore, I represent the Great Azure Divine Dynasty to punish him. Who knew that the ancient voice would reprimand him? His words were full of fairness and justice. You. Qi Yuhu and the others knew that the other party was trying to pin a crime on someone. However, they couldn't find a way to refute it. This is really ugly. Lin Ling, can you do it? Retracting their gaze from the sky, Meng Lu, Xian Linglong and the others looked at Lin Ling. Right now, Lin Ling was the first to fight. Moreover, he had to fight continuously. Therefore, they also had a short break. Most importantly, Lin Ling was the last to leave Jianglian Peak. This made them feel that it was unfair for Lin Ling. Lin Ling was still looking at the sky coldly. He didn't know who the mysterious judge was. However, the other party had obviously touched his reverse scale. It doesn't matter. Let's fight. However, Lin Ling wouldn't give up halfway. If he wanted to fight, he would accompany him. He would fight to his heart's content. You have a backbone. Lin Ling, you defeated me last time. I have always been unwilling to accept it. However, I realize that you do have a mysterious temperament. Like a sword, the more difficult it is, the sharper it becomes. Like a flame, it seems to be extinguished. However, as long as there is a breath left, it will set the prairie ablaze. Lin Ling, use this short period of time to quickly recover your strength. Meng Lu and the rest spoke one after another. Meng Lu realized that Lin Ling seemed to have difficulty even standing up. He couldn't help but sigh and shake his head. What exactly did Lin Ling encounter in Hell Mode Jianglian Peak? Only Lin Ling knew that he had a narrow escape previously. Imitating his own enchantment illusion, that level of strength simply shocked him. This also meant that when he went all out, he was extremely terrifying. It could be said that from first to third stage of True God Realm, this was called the initial stage of True God Realm. From fourth to seventh stage, this was called the middle stage of True God Realm. As for Lin Ling, he was probably invincible in the middle stage of True God Realm. As for the Sky Surpass ranking, the strongest generation was only at the sixth stage of True God Realm. What did Lin Ling have to fear? Moreover, others thought that he was seriously injured and didn't know that his god-devil body's recovery power was strong. In addition, he discovered that the third Dantian was slowly forming. If he used battle to nurture battle, it would definitely form. Lin Ling, go to Dayun Lake. At this very moment, that mysterious voice sounded again as though it didn't want to give Lin Ling too much time. Lin Ling stared at the sky. After changing into a clean long robe, he swept forward. In Dayun Mountain, rumbling sounds rang out like a torrential river. The ground began to sink as clouds drifted out. Lin Ling, you're very weak. At this moment, Shaying stood on top of the giant mountain and looked at Lin Ling calmly. He didn't have the confidence to defeat Lin Ling. However, if Lin Ling wanted to win, he would make him suffer. His voice was filled with disdain, attempting to affect Lin Ling's confidence. However, Lin Ling stood on top of the ancient lake. The lake water below his feet formed a whirlpool. He's really powerful, Shaying secretly said. The moment he entered the battlefield, he exploded with a powerful aura. That was to make Lin Ling wary. However, Lin Ling's mentality was very good. He didn't seem to be affected at all. I must force him to make a move. Otherwise, he will slowly recover his strength. Without any hesitation, Shaying extended his right hand. The rolling sand condensed into a 100-meter-long sand blade. He held the sand blade and pounced towards Lin Ling. Rumble. Wherever he passed, the ancient lake water would be dragged out. The strength of his aura made many geniuses hold their breaths. The pressure was too strong. Obviously, Shaying had exploded with his full strength. At this moment, at the edge of the Great Cloud Mountain, everyone narrowed their eyes. The first battle was also a battle of aura. It seemed simple, but in fact, it could affect the outcome of the battle. How would Lin Ling face it? There were only two paths left for Lin Ling. 1. Preserve his strength. 2. Fight against a tyrant. Under everyone's gaze, Lin Ling finally made his move. He punched out. Rumble. When the fist collided with the sand blade, it actually caused the sand blade to explode. Sand splattered everywhere. Then, Lin Ling rushed through the sand mist and took the initiative to attack. Like a shooting star. Like thunder. The power of the godly devil physique erupted. 100,000 universe force rolled out. This guy really can't be underestimated. Sha Ying's pupils constricted. He wanted to affect Lin Ling's mentality, but who knew that his mentality would be affected by Lin Ling? A hint of fear appeared in his heart. However, when he was surprised, Lin Ling arrived like a godly devil. His ferocious fist mixed with unparalleled power blasted out. 1,000-mile sand attack. Sha Ying immediately opened his arms. His arms turned into 200-meter-long sand blades and slashed out fiercely. If this attack was placed in the 3 great academies, 80% of the third-level true gods wouldn't be able to block it. Rumble. However, Lin Ling's fist was still moving forward. What was more terrifying was that the 2 giant sand blades were shattered again. Sha Ying sucked in a breath of cold air. Although he already knew that Lin Ling could break his martial arts, he didn't expect it to be so easy. It's not over yet. Line of sand whirled. At this moment, his eyes emitted a green light. It turned into a straight line and slashed towards Lin Ling. Sha Ying's talent has erupted. Moreover, it has merged with the Sand World 8 martial art. His ultimate flame path has reached the peak of Dao intent. Although he can't defeat Lin Ling, he can definitely injure Lin Ling again. No one expected that although Sha Ying's strength was inferior to Lin Ling, he could bring so much trouble to Lin Ling. Whoosh! Lin Ling's eyes flickered when the green light slashed towards him. However, he didn't even look at the green light. Instead, he rushed towards Sha Ying. Pop! 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 At the same time, the green light landed on his waist and tried to slash him in half. However, it couldn't advance any further. It was blocked by Lin Ling's body. What a strong defense. What kind of defensive martial art is that? At this moment, everyone was shocked. Even Sha Ying's eyes were wide open. Was the difference in strength between him and Lin Ling so big? But at that moment, Lin Ling's fist had already arrived. It was capable of killing gods and demons. Rumble. Sha Ying couldn't block it. The 2-meter-tall Sha Ying was smashed into pieces. I haven't lost yet. However, at this moment, Sha Ying's figure appeared in the distance. This guy's talent was even more strange than expected. Even Lin Ling frowned slightly. Using sand to recover his life force? His talent was really monstrous. I have the undying Sand Emperor body. Lin Ling, I know that I'm no match for you. However, it will be very difficult for you to defeat me. Sha Ying said indifferently as he looked down at Lin Ling condescendingly. As soon as he said that, the crowd came to a realization. Was Sha Ying trying to stall for time? How cunning. After all, Lin Ling wanted to enter the rankings. If Lin Ling used up all his strength in the first battle, how could he continue to fight? Lin Ling, come and fight me. Sha Ying was obviously prepared. He roared and laughed. His words were filled with pride and arrogance. He waved his right hand and a ferocious giant sand blade slashed towards Lin Ling from afar. Chapter 27-24. The Second Battle. Despicable. Is this still the strongest generation? Lin Ling is a rising star. How can you use such a method against a rising star? Many people could not bear to watch any longer and mocked. All is fair in war. Do you think that a battle between martial artists is a clash of strength? Strategy is also very important. However, there were also many voices of rebuttal. Sha Ying's attack was clearly not strong and could not hurt Lin Ling. After Lin Ling broke the sand blade, his face became even gloomier. The heaven-crossing star-ranking battle is a test of the strength of the first generation. In order to win, you are unscrupulous. Do you think you can continue on the path of martial arts? It's none of your business. Anyway, everyone knows that you are stronger than me. I will not lose face if I lose. On the contrary, if you lose to me, the one who will lose face will be you. Shang shouted coldly. His words were as if he was reprimanding Lin Ling. He was not ashamed, but proud. Hearing this, Lin Ling did not waste any more words. His body moved and shot towards Shang. Billowing killing intent filled the air. So fast. At this time, Shang discovered that Lin Ling's speed was even more terrifying than before. Moreover, flames appeared around Lin Ling. I heard that Lin Ling can use fire path martial arts to increase his strength and speed. Now that I see it, it is true. Shang muttered to himself. He had investigated Lin Ling and knew that Lin Ling had the evil flame change. Now, he should be using the heaven and earth change. And this was Lin Ling's ultimate trump card. He did not expect that Lin Ling would use his ultimate trump card. This made him very excited because not only did he achieve his goal, but he also greatly surpassed it. Unfortunately, he did not know that the heaven and earth change was not his ultimate trump card. The current Lin Ling had already reached the heaven change. Boom! Unsurprisingly, Shang was destroyed again. But soon, the sand fog spread and Shang appeared on the other side, reviving again. As expected of the undying Sand Emperor body. This kind of opponent was extremely difficult to deal with. If he didn't die, he wouldn't die. Moreover, Shang didn't give Lin Ling a chance to rest. The sand blade slashed at Lin Ling, constantly harassing Lin Ling like a fly. Boom! Of course, Lin Ling easily destroyed the sand blade and chased after Shang. Boom! The sand shadow exploded again. This was the third time. Next, it was the fourth time. The fifth time. The sixth time. This battle seemed to be endless. However, the situation was getting more and more troublesome for Lin Ling. Lin Ling's injuries haven't recovered yet, but he's already been entangled by the sand shadow. Moreover, I'm afraid that Lin Ling has already used 80% of his strength. If this goes on, Lin Ling will lose the second battle. Many people shook their heads secretly. They did not think highly of Lin Ling, especially Genji from Resplendent Academy. He was very familiar with Lin Ling's strength and was very certain. "Ha, Lin Ling, come and fight me." Shang was getting more and more arrogant. He even took out a wine bottle to drink. He was extremely arrogant. As for his attitude, Lin Ling didn't say a word. Moreover, he didn't need to be harassed and chased after the sand shadow. It seemed like he didn't intend to recover his strength and was going to fight with his life. When he noticed this scene, Shang started to feel fearful. Moreover, Shang grew more and more panicked after he was blasted to death 3 more times. He was just a cockroach when compared to Lin Ling. Who would have expected that Lin Ling would actually go all out just to kill a cockroach like him? Wait! Boom! Shang had just made a sound when Lin Ling punched him. Don't tell me you want to die together with me? Shang had a bad premonition. I want to see if your talent is undying. Lin Ling's voice was firm and cold. Thump. Sha Ying's heart skipped a beat when he heard that. Although he seemed to be undying, there was a limit to the number of times he could be killed. If he didn't have a month to recover, he would die for real. However, an ordinary person would be disheartened and give up after killing him more than 10 times. Who knew that Lin Ling would continue to fight with him? Lin Ling, you've already used all your strength. Don't you want to rest? Even if you can defeat me, don't you want to consider a second battle? Sha Ying quickly suggested. Unfortunately, he was greeted with a punch. Boom! Not only did the punch explode him, but it also smashed his wine bottle, causing the Yun Mountain to fall silent. The people were also frightened by Lin Ling's crazy energy. I don't want to fight anymore. No. Sha Ying felt that death was getting closer and closer to him. As the battle continued, Lin Ling seemed to know where he would appear every time he resurrected. Therefore, Lin Ling was waiting for him early. This caused him to die more and more times. Gradually, it reached 49 times. One more time and he would definitely die. However, when he appeared again, Lin Ling was already standing in front of him. He said calmly, "You've wasted a lot of my time, so you've completed the task perfectly. Of course, the price for completing the task is death." "No. No, I admit defeat. No. Lin Ling, I was wrong. This was only my commandery's idea. You know that I'm a sand-type genius. They used a level 6 martial art to trade with me." "No." At this moment, Shang was filled with deep regret. He shouldn't have angered Lin Ling. Because once angered, Lin Ling would kill him quickly. Lin Ling was simply a madman. Perhaps Lin Ling would lose the second battle, but would he be able to see it then? Boom. Unfortunately, all begging for mercy was useless. With a punch, the endless sea of sand exploded, covering the sky and the sun. However, this time, there was no more sand condensed. Instead, it turned into a large amount of sand, sprinkled on the ancient lake and was swallowed by the ancient lake. Shang, dead. Shang, pathetic. Everyone sighed when they saw this scene. Shang was not Lin Ling's opponent at all. His goal was to exhaust Lin Ling, and he achieved it. However, so what if he achieved his goal? Everything was just a wedding dress for someone else. The first battle is related to the trend of the entire battle. Therefore, Lin Ling has to win. However, in order to win this battle, he has put in a lot of effort. The second battle, he's in danger. Many experts were looking at the youth above the ancient lake. For example, Death God, Thunder Sound Mother and the others. They narrowed their eyes and didn't seem to be in a hurry. Now, he's very weak. Yes, I hope I can be selected to fight. The strongest generation of the Sky Surpass University's leaderboard began to stir. They were afraid of Lin Ling in his prime, but they weren't afraid of the injured Lin Ling. Everyone was staring at the strongest generation. They didn't expect their fighting spirit to be high. Seeing this, Lin Ling's expression didn't change. However, he sneered in his heart. His first dantian looked weak, but his second dantian was at its peak. Moreover, the injuries on his body were slowly recovering. These guys wanted to use this opportunity to kill him. They were dreaming. 52nd place, Lu Ruoyu. When the voice rang out, many people's expressions suddenly changed. Lu Ruoyu, the number 1 person in the Sword Principal Department of Tsungling Academy's generation. She was the mentor of countless geniuses. Chapter 27-25. The more he fought, the stronger he became. Lin Ling looked at him and realized that his opponent was not weak. This was an underestimated generation. With his strength, he might be able to enter the top 30. Lin Ling, I'll let you rest. Recover your strength and fight again. Lu Ruoyu's first sentence gave Lin Ling a good impression, but it also made the crowd curse. Lu Ruoyu, you're courting death. After exhausting Lin Ling's energy, Lu Ruoyu actually wanted to let Lin Ling recover. However, Lu Ruoyu did not care about the crowd, which made Lin Ling smile. No need. Let's fight. What a hero. Lu Ruoyu was slightly surprised, then nodded with praise. A blue ancient sword appeared in his hand. When the sword was drawn, the ancient lake roared, and a sharp aura shot out in all directions. I have a 9th grade awakened divine body and a 4th level true god. I have a powerful sword heart. Don't underestimate my sword. As he spoke, Lu Ruoyu had already drawn his sword, and instantly exploded with 30% of his sword heart. The sword passed, and the ancient lake rippled. So fast. This sword has probably reached the speed of 5 realms. Many people cried out in alarm. They realized that Lu Ruoyu's strength did not match his ranking. He was at least in the top 40. Whoosh. The tyrannical song sword appeared in Lin Ling's hand, and he attacked. Clang! The two figures collided violently, and the tip of their swords collided, creating a piercing sound. In the ancient lake, the lake water suddenly exploded, reaching up to a height of more than 10 meters. One should know that the lake water was as heavy as a realm. From this, one could see how strong the collision of their swords was. Lin Ling's sword has never been weak, but Lu Ruochen seems to be stronger than him. His sword speed is too fast. Someone muttered. Sure enough, Lu Ruoyu's body disappeared immediately after his attack failed, and the sky full of sword shadows surrounded Lin Ling. Ashura sword formation. Seeing this, Lin Ling also exploded with endless black swords to protect himself. Without using the evil flame change, his speed was not as fast as Lu Ruoyu's sword. Moreover, Lu Ruoyu was a strange person. He seemed to be the type that got stronger the more he fought. Clang! Ear-piercing sounds continued to ring out, but Lu Ruoyu's sword simply couldn't get close to Lin Ling. Winged immortal. Finally, Lu Ruoyu erupted with an even stronger sword Dao. His sword heart had quietly reached 50%. The Omega sword Dao's true meaning of sword. Paragon. When the terrifying sword heart appeared, countless people cried out in alarm. The ultimate sword Dao was an evaluation of one's comprehension of the martial Dao. The deeper one's comprehension of the martial Dao was, the more powerful one's martial Dao would be. In fact, if one reached the pinnacle of the ultimate martial Dao, they would be able to defeat powerful innate talents. They were certain that Lu Ruoyu's ranking was not within the top 40, but within the top 30. As expected, this was a generation that had been underestimated. It was obvious that he was indifferent to fame and fortune, so he didn't try to make a name for himself, making others unfamiliar with him. Lin Ling, are you going to lose the second match? Looking at Lu Ruoyu's sword, many people secretly clenched their fists. If Lin Ling was at his peak, then perhaps this battle would be 50-50. However, Lin Ling was clearly not at his peak. Lin Ling, defeated. Lu Ruoyu's voice was like the might of the heavens, and it was also as sharp as a sword. Looks like I'll have to erupt with 50% of my strength. Lin Ling thought to himself. He already knew that Lu Ruochen wasn't weak, but he didn't reveal 70% of his sword heart. Buzz! The tyrannical song in his hand shook, and 40% of his sword heart also erupted. Moreover, behind Lin Ling, one of the swords also shot out, adding up to exactly 50% of his sword heart. Lin Ling had a good impression of Lu Ruoyu, so Lin Ling didn't intend to kill him. The latter wasn't like Shang, who would admit defeat if he felt that he couldn't win. Boom! 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 The swords collided, and the momentum became even more terrifying. What? You also possess 50% of your sword heart. At the same time, Lu Ruoyu exclaimed. He was the #1 person in the sword principal department of the academy, and he was also a teacher of the academy. From a certain point of view, he was also Lin Ling's master, but now, this rising star wasn't weaker than him. Moreover, he knew that Lin Ling was strong in other areas besides the sword principal. This also meant that he couldn't win against Lin Ling. Senior brother Lu, you've lost. Ignoring Lu Ruoyu's surprise, Lin Ling's indifferent voice drifted out. I can't lose. I have a reason to win. If I defeat you, I'll be able to get the Tear of Tooth. In this way, I'll be able to save my junior sister. Lu Ruoyu said with red eyes, which made Lin Ling's pupils constrict. He thought that Lu Ruoyu, as a proud swordsman, would be different from the others, but Lu Ruoyu was the same as the others. It wasn't for the martial Dao, nor was it to pursue the highest realm of the sword, but for the additional reward. I thought you were a true swordsman, but it's a pity that you're the same as the others. Lin Ling's sword also became frenzied, its momentum heavy. I'm not the same. They use tricks, but I won't. I'll only defeat you fair and square. Unexpectedly, Lu Ruoyu retorted. The sword in his hand buzzed, and he disappeared, which made Lin Ling's eyes constrict. A swordsman was indeed the representative of fighting beyond one's level. Lu Ruoyu obviously didn't have the strength to defeat him, but now his potential was stimulated. Universal Sword. That sword obviously communicated with the power of the universe and had the taste of the sword territory. In addition to the 50% sword heart from before, the power was greatly increased. Sure enough, in the next moment, a dazzling sword appeared in front of Lin Ling's eyes, and it was getting closer and closer. This ferocious scene caused the entire Great Cloud Mountain to fall silent. Everyone could see that Lu Ruoyu seemed to have touched the threshold of the sword territory, and the sword territory was a martial art comprehension that was stronger than the sword intent. As expected of the number 1 sword genius of our Tsungling Academy. The higher-ups of Tsungling Academy said one after another. To be able to touch the threshold of the ultimate sword Dao, he must be a genius. Lin Ling can't compare to him. Dean Qin also said. His words were praising Lu Ruoyu and belittling Lin Ling. This made many people secretly mock Lin Ling. After all, no matter what, Dean Qin was still from the Resplendent Academy. How could he help an outsider and trample on his own academy's genius? Lu Ruoyu, you have your goals, but I also have my reasons for not being defeated. You can't defeat me. Just as Lu Ruoyu's sword was about to slash, Lin Ling let out a low roar. At this moment, he also erupted with an even stronger sword heart. A sword came from the horizon. The 60% sword heart also surged out at this moment, crushing Lu Ruochen's 50% sword heart. Even if the sword touched the sword territory, it was useless. 60%, this Lin Ling is hiding a trump card. He's actually getting stronger as the battle goes on. After noticing Lin Ling's attack, everyone exclaimed in surprise. Dean Qin looked like he had been slapped in the face, and he was instantly speechless. In terms of sword Dao, Lin Ling was obviously more powerful than Lu Ruoyu. Rumble. The two swords collided, and Lu Ruoyu, who had disappeared, finally reappeared. She spat out a mouthful of blood and looked extremely dispirited. Chapter 27-26. There was no more sword Dao. Whoosh. The powerful 60% sword heart caused Lu Ruoyu to be seriously injured, and her body was smashed towards the ancient lake. Defeat. This thought rose in everyone's mind. Trash, you lost so quickly. You didn't even use up Lin Ling's energy. The left Prime Minister's disciple snorted coldly. Obviously, he was the one who had made the deal with Lu Ruoyu. As for Lu Ruoyu, he was still smashed into the ancient lake. If he was submerged by the ancient lake, he would definitely die. The water of the ancient lake was the water of the great clouds, the weight of 10,000 worlds. However, at this moment, an arm suddenly appeared in front of him and grabbed his wrist. When he looked up, he realized that it was Lin Ling. Lin Ling saved him. Lu Ruoyu's heart thundered. Although you came here with a purpose, you are magnanimous and have the aura of a swordsman. You are upright and outspoken. Lin Ling looked down at Lu Ruoyu. His impression of Lu Ruoyu was still quite good. Lu Ruoyu's expression changed drastically, but at this time, a cold voice sounded in his ears. The poison in your junior sister's body can only be cured by the tears of the tooth. Therefore, if you can't injure Lin Ling, then the tears of the tooth will not belong to you. Now is your best chance. The voice caused Lu Ruoyu's expression to change drastically. Lin Ling had saved him, and he wanted to attack Lin Ling. However, when he thought of the poison his junior sister was suffering from, he immediately threw caution to the wind. Thousand Feather Sword. He roared, and a sword shot over from afar like a flying immortal. This guy. The eyes of the people from Great Cloud Mountain widened when they saw that. Lin Ling saved Lu Ruoyu, but in the process of saving her, Lu Ruoyu actually launched a sneak attack on Lin Ling. Even Lin Ling's expression changed drastically. The reason he'd saved Lu Ruoyu was because Lu Ruoyu was magnanimous. But who would have imagined that Lu Ruoyu would go with the flow in the end? Just as this thought appeared in his mind, a sword pierced through Lin Ling's chest, and fresh blood blossomed like a flower. Bang! At the same time, Lu Ruoyu leaped up and held the sword in his hand. He wanted to slash out again, but in the end, he held back. This was because his goal was to severely injure Lin Ling, so he didn't want to kill Lin Ling. Moreover, he felt very guilty. In fact, even his sword Dao and martial heart were shaken. And after Lin Ling was penetrated by the sword, his body fell towards the ancient lake, causing many people's expressions to change. Sure enough, he's going to lose the second battle. A swordsman against a swordsman, appreciating each other. Unfortunately, he underestimated his own seduction. Even a swordsman with a firm will would be swayed by him, and would use any means to attack. Poor Lin Ling. Everyone shook their heads and sighed. They were not surprised by this scene. Dean Qin's gloomy face was replaced with an excited smile. Lin Ling had been defeated. Unfortunately, she was too optimistic. Ashura sword formation. Bang! Lin Ling still fell towards the ancient lake, but he roared, and 365 swords shot out crazily. His target was Lu Ruoyu. The tyrannical Song sword was among them, and there were also 3 swords of sword heart. Each sword killed the heart. Lin Ling can still unleash his full strength? Shock immediately appeared in Lu Ruoyu's eyes. He didn't expect Lin Ling to be able to counterattack at such a crucial moment. He raised the sword in his hand, trying to block Lin Ling's sword. However, among the 365 swords, there were 4 that he couldn't block. Because, combined, it was a full 70% sword heart. Clang! Clang! 4 consecutive sounds rang out, and the sword in Lu Ruoyu's hand broke. A cry of surprise floated out from his mouth. 70% sword heart. Bang! As soon as he said this, the ancient lake exploded. It turned out that 60% sword heart wasn't Lin Ling's limit. This guy had 70% sword heart. 70%. Even the elders of the academy didn't have such terrifying comprehension of the sword. At the same time, countless swords were aimed at Lu Ruoyu, as if they would kill him in an instant. You've lost. Under the ancient lake, Lin Ling's figure slowly floated up. He touched the sword wound on his chest with one hand and looked at Lu Ruoyu with a cold expression. Everyone thought that he was seriously injured, but no one knew that he had already recovered from most of his injuries. Therefore, at the crucial moment, he forcefully stopped his speed and escaped from the ancient lake. You, kill me. Lu Ruoyu looked at Lin Ling dispiritedly. He didn't expect that he couldn't defeat Lin Ling even with a sneak attack. Lin Ling's strength was beyond his imagination, and at this moment, he suddenly regretted it. Because, he had violated his own martial heart. Because of a moment of greed, he had violated his own principles. Unfortunately, Lin Ling shook his head in disdain to make a move. This made Lu Ruoyu spit out a mouthful of blood. He suddenly knew that even if Lin Ling didn't kill him, it would be difficult for him to rise again. Because, he relied on his persistence to possess such a powerful sword heart. But now, his persistence was also compromised. This meant that he no longer had sword Dao. And to a swordsman, having no sword Dao was worse than being killed. I've lost. Lu Ruoyu left step by step, his back view bleak. However, Lin Ling didn't sympathize with him, because this was the wrong path that Lu Ruoyu had chosen. Lu Ruoyu is a piece of trash. Previously, he could have injured Lin Ling again, but this guy went soft. What a waste of my expression. Seeing Lu Ruoyu leave, angry curses could be heard. However, the strongest generation of the heavenly surpass rankings all smiled excitedly. Because Lin Ling was injured again, and this time, his injuries weren't light. This was the best opportunity. As for the others, they also looked at the blue-robed youth in the sky and realized that his long robe was already stained with blood. However, he still stood between heaven and earth like an undefeatable god of war. At this moment, their hearts were filled with admiration. Lin Ling, can you still fight? How about taking a break? An ancient expert suggested. Lin Ling had been fighting continuously since the third round. Now that his chest had been pierced by a sword, could he still fight? If you can't fight, you can mention it, but it also means that you admit defeat. However, at this moment, the cold voice in the sky sounded again. Then, without waiting for Lin Ling's reply, the opponent for the third round appeared. Ranked 67th, Kong Gao Fei. Drawing lots was extremely dependent on luck, and this time, the opponent was obviously weaker than Lu Ruoyu. However, Lin Ling was already exhausted. This meant that even if the opponent's strength wasn't as good as his, it was still possible to defeat him. It's finally my turn. A skinny young man took the lead and laughed loudly. He walked towards the ancient lake. Strangely, countless shadows appeared behind him, making it difficult to distinguish between the real and the fake. I'll kill you in 3 moves. Compared to the previous strongest generation, this one called Kong Gao Fei was clearly very confident. I'd like to see how long he can hold on. Thunder Sound Mother also shouted. As the battle continued, Lin Ling became weaker and weaker. Fiery explosion, go to hell. Chapter 27:27. The more he fought, the more courageous he became. Looks like his injuries are getting worse. The crowd muttered to themselves as a saying appeared in their minds, enough ants can bite an elephant to death. No matter how powerful an elephant was, it would fall sooner or later after being bitten by countless ants. Lin Ling, you're going to die a pitiful death. As for Kong Gaofei, he was incomparably excited. Killing Lin Ling would earn him a favor from the Thunder Manor, Azure Dragon Manor, and even the Grim Reaper and left Prime Minister Mensheng. However, at this moment, Lin Ling finally raised his head. His eyes were cold. His fists were filled with killing intent as he punched out. Rumble. Sparks flew in all directions as if the clouds were on fire. Moreover, a terrifying figure leaped through the clouds and soared into the sky. Isn't he very weak? Kong Gaofei seemed to have yet to react. He was tongue-tied. Boom. However, there was no need for him to react because Lin Ling's fist pierced through his chest. Moreover, Lin Ling's right arm was raised high in the air as he stared coldly at the Great Cloud Mountain. There are still 7 battles left. Those who step onto the ancient cloud lake will die regardless of whether there is any enmity between us. His merciless voice silenced the Great Cloud Mountain. The crowd seemed to have sensed that Lin Ling was finally going to start a massacre. Perhaps, Lu Ruoyu had let Lin Ling know that the Sky Surpass rankings had changed. Therefore, he could only kill to stop his killing. In fact, Lin Ling was not a person who killed indiscriminately. Therefore, he did not reveal his killing intent at the beginning because some people did not want to kill him. They were only looking forward to a battle with him. However, he gradually realized that he was too naive. Boom. Subsequently, Kong Gaofei's body exploded. Blood rained down from the sky. It was a ghastly sight. The Great Cloud Mountain remained silent. The third battle was even more straightforward than the previous ones. It was actually a one-punch kill. Wasn't Lin Ling getting weaker as he fought? At this moment, many people's hearts trembled violently. So arrogant. Are you trying to tell everyone that you're still strong? However, at this moment, a cold laugh came from the Sky Surpass rankings. Many people looked over and discovered that the one who spoke was the left minister's disciple. Moreover, people were pondering over his words and suddenly understood. The reason why Lin Ling was so insolent was that he wanted to intimidate the opponent through domineering methods. In reality, he was just a medic on the outside. Alright, there are still 7 matches left. I want to see if he can maintain his arrogance. On the Azure Dragon Manor's side, mocking laughter rang out. Clearly, they thought that Lin Ling was getting weaker and weaker. After hearing their words, the crowd also secretly nodded their heads. They also felt that Lin Ling was deliberately mystifying things. If things went wrong, he might lose the next match. Referee, please draw lots immediately. Cold snorts quietly sounded out one after another. Everyone wanted to see how many rounds the young man on the ancient lake could win. What an arrogant fellow. He actually provoked so many forces. I saw that not only the Thunder Sound Manor, but even the Radiant Academy seemed to be targeting him. Not far from the Great Cloud Mountain, several figures sat there, smiling as they looked at the front. The one who spoke was a white-haired old man. He wore a long robe with 8 trigrams, and there was a star between his eyebrows. That star emitted light ripples from time to time. If someone looked into his eyes, they would probably lose themselves in an instant. This was obviously a monstrous expert. I think he can win 2 more matches at most. In the 3rd round, he clearly came out with heavy injuries. Moreover, his chest was pierced by a sword. His injuries worsened. That's right. Most importantly, his world essence recovers very slowly. It seems like he's relying on his physical strength to defeat his opponent. His physical strength can allow him to rampage for a period of time, but it won't be of much help when facing the strongest generation. The others also spoke one after another. These people wore a cold expression and wore large cloaks. If they weren't from the Divine Dynasty, then they were from the Myriad World's ancient sect. With their strength, they could see where Lin Ling's weakness was. That's not necessarily true. I think that other than the Grim Reaper, no one is a match for him. He's just mocking all the heroes now. However, at this moment, a young voice suddenly sounded. It was a child about 8 or 9 years old. He had his hands behind his back and looked ahead with a smile. Such a child was still young, but his words were like that of an old man. It gave people a very strange feeling. However, after hearing his words, the surrounding people's expressions changed drastically. Why are you so sure? The terrifying thing was that not only did the masters not think that the child was fooling around, but they also believed the child's words. Have you forgotten who I am? The child looked like he was carved out of jade, and he looked extremely cute. However, when they heard the child's words, they immediately frowned. Although they felt that it was impossible, the child's origin and identity made them believe the child's words. It's really strange. He clearly used up so much of his world essence and was seriously injured. He shouldn't be able to fight many matches. That's right. That's right. Although my current opponents aren't strong, the strongest generation within the top 30 aren't easy to deal with. That's right. The Titans of Mount Tai and North Star spoke one after another. However, the child still acted like an old man. With his hands behind his back, he muttered to himself, "It's really strange. He actually gives me a familiar feeling." Yes. Then, he looked at the masters with a smile and said, "Do you want to try a bet?" Yes. As soon as he said this, the faces of the old monsters changed drastically. They all waved their hands and said, "Bet again?" "No, we're scared of losing." Yes. Obviously, this was not the first time something like this had happened. Although I don't know why he can win, anything is possible in Huanyu. For example, what if he has 2 dantians? Yes. The child curled his lips and guessed in all kinds of boring ways. Who would have 2 dantians? Senior Tong Man really likes to joke. One of the old men immediately laughed, causing the child to shake his head. It was not much because Lin Ling's 4th opponent had appeared. And this opponent was not weak at all. He was truly ranked in the top 30 of the strongest generation. Ranking, 25th. His realm was the 5th level of the true God realm. He even had a divine body. Such an opponent was undoubtedly a great enemy. Many people even thought that even if Lin Ling was at his peak, he might not be the strongest generation's opponent. Lin Ling, your luck has come. The person who appeared in the ancient lake was actually a woman. A woman wearing a black robe and a veil covering her face. Black leaf demonic energy, Shengguanya. Did you kill Lei Tianlan? She's my junior sister. The woman said indifferently. She had the symbol of the Flying Dragon organization on her body. Who would have thought that she was an assassin? You want to let me have 3 moves again? Chapter 27-28. It was a crazy winning streak. You're not weak when you're not injured. But now, you're like a dying old man. Today, I'm going to avenge little sister Tianlan. The woman's eyes shone with sharpness. Furthermore, she didn't underestimate Lin Ling. She directly erupted with a powerful innate talent. Court of the Gods. Darkness descended. Numerous mysterious figures wearing large cloaks appeared. They silently chanted an unknown incantation, causing the ancient lake to become incomparably pitch black. Shangongya is the Flying Dragon organization's double-kill expert. She never confronts her enemies head-on. Over 1,000 venerable sovereigns have died at her hands. So scary? That's right. She is also an assassin secretly trained by the Lei Manor. Originally, she also wanted to assassinate Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling had just become the Grand Marshal and was being watched by the Great Azure God dynasty. Hence, Shangongya decided to spare his life temporarily. It is said that those who die in Shangongya's hands will all become dark souls and be controlled by her. It seems like Shangongya wants Lin Ling to become a dark soul. This woman is really cruel. The venerable sovereigns from the myriad worlds whispered to each other. Obviously, they had heard of the demoness name. Descend. At the same time, a surging aura erupted. Those mysterious people surrounded Lin Ling, forming a terrifying domain. Dark Abyss Inc. Realm. Although Shangongya hadn't comprehended a true god martial soul, her talent was heaven-defying. Based on the words divine physique, 90% of the people in the 3 academies looked up to her. Rumble. At the same time, Lin Ling felt as if he was in a swamp, unable to move an inch. What a strange divine body talent. Lin Ling was shocked. He was sure that if she didn't possess the divine physique, then only a few people at the same cultivation level could defeat Shangongya. Furthermore, Lin Ling had seen this kind of darkness talent before. It came from the 2nd generation of the Resplendent Academy, Genji. However, Shangongya's talent was clearly stronger than Genji's. Genji's talent was to bring his opponent into darkness, never to be able to escape. But Shangongya not only brought darkness, she could even use it to trap her opponent. Little sister Tianlan treated me like family. You, Lin Ling, are so vicious that you even killed her. How old is she? Could it be that you have the heart of a wolf and lungs of a dog? After her innate talent suppressed Lin Ling, Shangongya slowly walked over. Her speed seemed slow, but there was a strange rhythm to her movements. Furthermore, a black dagger appeared in her hand. Lin Ling, be careful. Falling flowers, flowing water, and the others saw this scene and cried out in alarm. In their opinion, Lin Ling didn't seem to be able to react at all. If this continued, he would definitely suffer a calamity. Now that she was dead, it was good. As for the Thunder Mother, she felt as if a knife was being twisted in her heart. 3,000 years ago, she searched for martial arts seedlings in the myriad worlds and finally recruited tens of thousands of youths. These youths had been trained by blood and killing. In the end, only 10 of them were left. They were the forces secretly cultivated by the Thunder Mansion. Among them, Shangongya was the one she valued the most. For this reason, she had spent a large amount of cultivation resources on Shangongya. But now, this assassin who had just risen to prominence had been killed by Lin Ling. This made her painstaking efforts go down the drain. Lin Ling, I will tear you into pieces. The Thunder Mother said ferociously. Next round. However, above the ancient lake, the young man ignored her. Instead, he glanced at Great Cloud Mountain and said heroically. As soon as he said that, the entire Great Cloud Mountain was in an uproar. Unknowingly, Lin Ling had already won 4 rounds in a row. Moreover, every time he looked like he was going to fall, he would defeat his opponent in a domineering manner in the end. This made people wonder if Lin Ling was not injured at all. At this moment, the strongest generation on the heavenly surpass ranking list were all silent. The 30 previous strongest generation members were praying that they would not meet Lin Ling. Everyone, don't be weak. If we are wiped out by an injured rising star, where will our faces go? At this moment, an old-looking young man said indifferently. Lin Ling knew that he was going to die, so he burst out with even more strength before his death. This is normal, but the recovery of strength will not last long. Who knows, the next strongest generation member will be the one who kills him and sees endless glory. Yes, if he is killed, the Thunder Mansion and Azure Dragon Mansion may even be able to enter the eyes of the great Azure Divine Dynasty. Voices of discussion rang out. The strongest generation members gradually regained their fighting spirit.